This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It's Tuesday, April 6th. I'm Tori here with Lindsay and Al, my pals. I'm Tori, as I said twice now. Let's get started. Believe it or not, we have got some sports-related stories today.
Ooh, I'm thrilled.
Lindsay's really into it. But if you're not into sports, don't worry. There's a lot more going on here. So first off, let's talk. Did you see last night's Texas Rangers home opener in Arlington, Texas? The game was played in front of a max capacity crowd. I'm sure Lindsay loves that. Around 40,000 people. If you take a closer look, you can see that a lot of folks were wearing masks, but still others were not. Plus, with everyone packed together, it was impossible to maintain social distancing. So we all knew it was going to happen at some point, the first sold-out sporting event since the start of the pandemic. But what do you think? Is this still too soon? Would you have gone? For me, too risky. I know we're at the end. I get it. But I don't want to go there. Too soon.
You know you wouldn't catch me dead in that thing. Like, it's not even an option. I don't know what's going on. I know that they were saying masks were mandated unless you were eating or drinking, but mind you, in Texas, it's not actually any type of implementation, so I don't know how that works. Do you follow the governor's rule or do you follow the park's rule?
And at a baseball game, I'm constantly eating and drinking, so I was like, that's all the whole game.
Yeah, so you're never not having your mask on.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Let's say you were double vaccinated, right? Let's say you've been vaccinated, it's been 2 weeks. Would you have gone out?
I would not have gone. And you know what?
You don't really like people.
No. That's not that. I don't like big crowds. We've discussed this. I think I got lost at the circus when I was like 6 and that scarred me.
Seems like it.
Yeah, I don't like that, but I get it. And I've been reading articles from some scientists that said that it's time to put the air quotes the show away in terms of when you walk into a store, there shouldn't be cleaning products and everything everywhere. We need to start to kind of assimilate back into regular life. I have been reading more of those articles. Do I agree with them? There are things I do, there are things I don't. But at some point, we do have to dip a toe back in.
But wasn't the point
I don't know.
Wasn't the point of putting on masks to protect your fellow person? So it wasn't more about you, it was about everyone else is wearing their mask to protect you. So as much as people are getting the vaccine, and I'm super thrilled about that, still wear a mask and still protect people who haven't gotten the vaccine. It's kind of ridiculous that it's like, well, I'm good, so now I don't care about you. The same people that needed to care about me during the beginning of this pandemic.
I always have said from the beginning, it's patriotic to wear that mask. It is saving others, and during war, people have done a lot more than wear a mask, so I think we can handle that. All right, more about that Rangers game. Texas Governor Greg Abbott was supposed to throw out.
What if you just started giving out scores and just like, what is this?
I would be so lost.
He would just such analysis.
I would walk off set.
Glenn Doyle got 3 RBIs. Greg Abbott, the governor, was supposed to throw out the ceremonial first pitch, but after Major League Baseball moved its All-Star game out of Georgia, he sent a letter saying no thank you. He also said Texas would no longer host any future special events for MLB. Speaking of the All-Star game, there are reports that it will now be played right here in Denver at Coors Field, not far from where we sit right now. So what do you think about Governor Abbott snubbing MLB and the game likely being in Denver? What do you think about Abbott?
I just think it's getting petty now. You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, now I'm going to respond like this. I think the MLB was trying to do what a lot of us criticize other sports leagues for taking so long to do. It's like saying this isn't right, so we're taking a firm stance on an issue. And I know that a lot of people want to separate sports from politics, but it's hard when a lot of people who are in sports actually have family members that are going to have trouble voting or harder times getting to a ballot box. It's real life.
To me, it's become like cancel culture to the most. Everyone's complaining about cancel culture. I'm like, now you won't throw the ball? Like, really?
Yeah, I mean, but you know what we always say, it can't be cancel culture because when you cancel something, it's like a dam and you try and plug it with one finger and it shoots out from somewhere else. You say we're not going to have it in Atlanta. Denver's like, hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
And now they're going to take it, and that's the thing that you need to be aware of when you decide to say that you're not going to do something. Is there's always somebody that will. So Denver took advantage. And Georgia took a stand, so I feel like, again, both parties win.
Yeah, very interesting. Denver's a great place, guys. Great
it really is.
Sunsets, breweries, beautiful air.
You're embracing your inner real estate agent.
Location.
You just need a blazer now.
That hairstyle, red blazer and a minivan.
Oh my God, I had a red blazer on the other day, and Al clowned me for the entire day about it.
Someone already told me I had a mom haircut.
No, I like your hair. The vote is your hair is beautiful.
Thanks. And I love moms. I'm just not one yet. NBA analyst and former Celtics player Paul Pierce is out of a job. Have y'all heard this? It was all over the Instagram live video he posted on Friday, showing him surrounded by scantily clad women. He was also smoking what appears to be a marijuana cigarette or blunt, which we had to
You sound like
censor.
you're talking to 8th graders. Like you go to
I did
middle
that on
schools.
purpose.
You guys in your hip hop and your weed.
Your marijuana cigarette. Pierce previously worked at the ESPN as part of their NBA Countdown pregame show since he retired from the sport in 2017. Pierce, who is married, seemed to address it in this tweet saying, I can't lose. Even when I lose, I'm winning, with awesome emojis. So the question is, what was he thinking, and was ESPN right for firing him? I mean, I don't think you could smoke weed with like strippers in the back, and still, like, ESPN probably has a moral clause in their contract.
Okay, time out. Like, is it immoral to have a stripper around you? Is that what we're doing? Or is it illegal to have weed around you, and ESPN is based in Connecticut? Because if that's the argument, because it's not a federal, like, law that we can all have weed, then I understand ESPN saying we're letting you go. But if it's because he has strippers, ESPN needs to stop. Like, that's actually leisure time and all legal activity.
However, ESPN's moral clause doesn't have to be what's actually legal. It can be like, we want to uphold a very strict standard.
So we'll pretend like the other host never been to a strip club before.
Well, they haven't
morally.
been on ESPN Live doing it.
He wasn't on ESPN Live. He was on Paul Pierce Live.
Instagram Live doing it. So, I mean, I'm just taking the other side here. I agree, it's legal.
You know what? And I'll say this because I talked with the homies on the group thread about this.
I like how you say the homies.
And I was shocked that a lot of people feel like Lindsay does. I looked at it like, you know, I look at Lindsay's Instagram. I don't see any. I don't see any. I don't see any blunts.
I think that Paul Pierce is silly for posting this. Yes, but that's a grown man who has a full career playing 18 years in the NBA. I think he's not hurting for money. But I think like the strippers part is the part that's like, oh, I can't believe. You can't believe. Really, OnlyFans is booming. You can't believe.
Disney. He works for Disney.
Explain that. ESPN is owned by
Lindsay,
Disney.
look over here. I'm right over here.
I
Lindsay,
just think, okay, we're all pretending like Disney and every employee there is so PG and perfect. Great, if we want to do that.
A lie. I'm saying Disney has to keep their lie going that we're a family show in our family situation, and they can't associate their brand with that. I get it. It's not illegal.
So
have at it.
I agree with you, but why would Paul Pierce do that knowing he's a smart guy? Was he trying to get out of a
I think that's the bigger question. What do you think?
What if he just went to the strip club? Would he then get fired also? Like a lot of people, there was an NBA player who got caught at the strip club during COVID, and let's say he goes on to be an analyst because he's a very popular player. Like, does that mean, oh no, you're not fitting in with the Disney brand? Like, you telling me Shaq never did anything inappropriate in his life?
Did Instagram live it with things we can't even show on a daytime TV show?
We talked about weed on a daytime TV show,
Agreed,
so I don't know.
Did we show the scantily, as it said in the prompter, scantily clad women? I'm just saying, Disney.
Let's take it away.
He doesn't have a daytime TV show.
And they were dancing.
What time does the show come on? During the NBA games?
My question for you guys. Our own Sam Shocker, who hosts another one of our shows, she has a candle company. Let's say I started representing that and tweeting out about that. And all of a sudden I start doing posts where I start trying to bring people back from the dead, and I have pentagrams with her candles around that. Is she then allowed to say, I don't want to associate my candles with your demonic pentagrams?
For sure. I'm just saying, like, the moral clause is so vague, or ethics clause at companies are so vague that it's very, very disturbing to me when they're saying it is vague. Because what is the thing? If he got fired for weed is one thing. If he got fired for strippers, I disagree with that.
I think it's the image he projected on Instagram Live.
But he's been a fool. This man got in a fight when he was on the Celtics. I mean, with the freaking people in the audience. Like, I don't even know sports, and I know this man been a fool with it. Like, I know this.
Her homie plays in the NBA, and she still barely knows anything about it.
I'm just saying, this man has not been like the most cleanest cut person for Disney in the first place, and they hired him, and now they want him to be perfect.
What I did hear, which I thought was interesting, is that ESPN would not have fired him if somebody else had leaked that footage. But because he uploaded it, that's where the problem came.
That is interesting. All right, well, let us know what you guys think here on Facebook and YouTube. Someone just wrote in, demonic pentagrams, LOL, is hilarious.
They're legal. They're legal.
I agree with you. I know people who write employee contracts for a living, and that moral clause is very vague for a reason. It makes a big bubble. Really big bubble. Did you like that?
I did.
Thanks. All right, we have to give a big DBL shout out to the Baylor's men's basketball team. They won their first ever NCAA championship last night. The Baylor Bears put an end to Gonzaga's undefeated season in a blowout victory, 86-70. I was really sad, Gonzaga. I was sad that they lost, that undefeated. They lost the one game. Was it all worth it?
I can't believe it's another story about sports. I just can't believe it.
It was the Final Four March Madness.
Does that obviously you didn't win the title, so then you're upset. But 30 wins and 1 loss is a great season. But would that?
It doesn't mean anything.
Does it not mean anything?
That's great. I'm so excited for this team. That's great news. It means a lot to everybody who won.
When you don't know what's going on. I love it. All right, coming up on DBL, a synchronized swimmer's inspiring story of success. A lot of S's. How she showed the haters what she's really made of in our series, Strong Women. Inside and out. Look at that. And First Lady Jill Biden's style choice is making headlines. Oh, yeah, we're talking about it. What do you think of her fishnet pattern tights? That's next. Closed captioning provided by
This so-called double mutant variant was first discovered in India. As you can guess, this variant contains 2 mutations to the coronavirus. The mutations have been seen before in different variants. One is similar to a so-called California variant. The other was found in variants discovered in Brazil and South Africa. The first case of this double mutant in the U.S. was diagnosed in a patient in the San Francisco area. So what does this mean? Experts are concerned that these mutations make the variant more contagious. That's because both help the virus latch onto cells. India first revealed its existence in March, and now cases are surging in the country. In one hard-hit Indian state, political leaders claim the new variant is not necessarily to blame, instead pointing fingers at large gatherings. More research is needed on this double mutant variant, but experts are hopeful the current vaccines will be effective against it. Despite the lack of hard data, they point to the fact that the vaccines work on these same mutations seen individually in other variants. But the emergence of these new variants of concern reinforces to health officials that widespread vaccinations are needed to stop the creation of new mutations.
Welcome back to DBL. A big shout out to our coworkers tuning in from home during the pandemic. We'll see you guys all soon. There's Carrie, there's Anthony. Hi, Anthony. All right, no matter who is in the White House, there is always a lot of pressure on the First Lady, especially when it comes to what they wear. And Dr. Jill Biden is no different. So Twitter went crazy over these pictures of the 69-year-old First Lady who was photographed wearing a black skirt, booties, and a pair of fishnet patterned tights. A lot of people on Twitter did not like the look. One person tweeting, "Jill Biden is just too old to be wearing fishnets. It's gross." Another saying, "It's not just the fishnets, it's the whole mess. A mini skirt, all black, not too springy. The outfit is ugly for a woman of any age." But some disagreed, saying Dr. Jill Biden's tights were not fishnets. Also, they were cute and she rocked them. I have a strong take on this, and it's about First Ladies, but I want to hear your point of view. First off, as just seeing her right off, did you immediately think that's inappropriate? I just want to get your first take.
I didn't think it was inappropriate, but I was like, wow, that's a different outfit for a First Lady. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't show up to work with that outfit on.
Right. And what if she was going on like a date night with Joe?
Great, but usually they come right off the Air Force or the plane and go on a date.
Well, they get to use that plane when they want.
When
but good
you're
point.
right.
A little
I want to
shocking.
hear your stand.
Were you?
What are y'all talking about?
What?
She looks like she's about to go to the Viper Room in LA in '86. She's the First Lady, Lindsay. You're not going to the 40-40 Club. She cannot dress like that.
She can use it wherever
if
she goes.
Melania wore that, she would get lit up, and you know it.
Let's talk about Melania, because I remembered her she posed nude for many, many years. She also wore a jacket saying, "I don't really care, do you?"
Let's talk about this outfit.
Okay, but I'm more worried that is getting, what you say is, this is getting like so much hype, and we forget that other First Ladies out there have also done things. I also want to say First first ladies are human. They're human beings. They're
but
women.
they're first ladies,
They're
too.
sexy women. Like Betty Ford had dealt with
Had
addiction
fishnets and
made
pumps.
no, but she dealt with addiction and she had the Betty Ford Center. They're human beings with that are sexy and unsexy and make mistakes. They are not to be held to some greater power that they can't do that. I think she looked great.
You cannot have it both ways. You cannot say I'm the first lady, and with that becomes a certain set of privileges, a certain set of moral standards that you are asked to uphold.
So fishnets isn't moral?
Yeah, it's not appropriate.
Were you mad at Michelle Obama when she wore shorts? Because that was a look that everybody wasn't used to either.
Or no stockings.
I'm
Remember,
talking about when you're being filmed coming off Air
She
Force
was being
One,
filmed. She
you
had on
shouldn't come
shorts.
straight.
And I thought Michelle Obama should be able to do what she wants. I'm used to seeing them in a nice dress that looks like they're about to go to a public event, but like there's 365 days in every year, and every day there's not something for the first lady to do, I'm sure.
And she also works out extensively, has a great body that can rock those tights. She's not too old. Old women should feel able to be sexual.
If that argument was never made for Melania. Never.
But you also know that there's some things like, if my mom came out with a crop top, I would probably get annoyed.
Okay.
Right? That's what I'm saying. If my mom came out with a crop top, I would say, that's
Why
not.
are you annoyed, Lindsay?
Because I wouldn't want her to have that on. That's my mom.
But you would get annoyed, but do you think she shouldn't have the right
She should
to
have the
wear
right,
it?
but come on, you need to also be in the right state of mind in your life at this age and not wear a crop top. I think that she would agree with me. And when I'm somebody's mom and my daughter is 30 plus, I will be not walking around with a bralette either.
Okay, but a crop top's different than an all black outfit with a little pop. Yes, it was short skirt.
Okay, and it looked like a leather short skirt or like.
Oh my
pleather or
gosh! How dare it be leather?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want my first lady
gosh, I'm swooning.
leg to look like the lamp from Christmas Story.
So you didn't like the fashion, but was it unprofessional as a first lady?
It was a little sassy. It looked like a Grease outfit or something. It was,
It's not. Can we have some decorum?
That's don't go that far. It's not having no decorum.
You
This
wanna
is
tell
not a
women
good
how to
outfit.
wear
How are we dressed right now? We are at work. I'm not in a tank top because we are at work.
Was she at a
She's
professional
work.
event, or was she going somewhere you don't know privately?
I don't know. It definitely was a club that lets in the back alley. She looks like she's going to party at a 2 a.m. club. That is a we're going out to party outfit, which if she's doing that, it's fine.
Be careful talking about women's clothing because that is a long historical
She is the
context. Am I
first
right?
lady
And she wasn't
in wearing
representing the first
fishnets.
lady right then, and she's allowed to rock it, and she looks good. All you 70-year-olds, write me in and get on Al. All right.
Oh, wow.
down
He's
with
about to
that.
get attacked.
Not at Air Force One. All you want.
That's their plane. Coming up on DBL, a synchronized swimmer tells us about overcoming hardship and bullying. This is an incredible video. Why you should never be afraid to make waves. Next in our Strong Women Inside and Out series.
Verify exists to bring you the facts about the misinformation that's spreading on social media. A viewer sent us this Facebook post, which makes a couple claims about phone scams. Like this: if you press *#90 or #09* while on the phone with another caller, they can, quote, access your SIM card, make calls at your expense, and frame you as a criminal. Sounds pretty out there, so let's verify if there's any truth to this. Our sources are the FCC and Kane McGladrey, a member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And they say that there's a grain of truth here, but that's all. The FCC has this warning on their website, that if someone calls your office phone and you dial these numbers, they could, quote, place calls that are billed to your office telephone number. That just means that they could transfer the call. But McGladrey told us that this only goes for office phones. Quote, this doesn't affect cell phones or residential landlines. So while it's true that this could make calls at your expense, the claim that they can access your SIM card is false. And as for the claim that they could frame you as a criminal, not so much. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Moving far away from your hometown can make anyone feel like a fish out of water. But today, our featured strong woman shows us that even when you're the outsider, it's okay to make some waves. Check it out.
My name is Christina Marcuschenko, and originally I'm from Moscow. I did artistic swimming for a little bit over 13 years, and I achieved the level of 4-time world champion and 2 times European champion in synchronized swimming. So I'm an artist, and I always had that ever since I was a baby. So I think that's why synchronized swimming matched me so well. I feel like I own this pool. I want to show up, and it's like, it's like a show under water. During my sport career, I went through a lot of hard things. At the age 11, that's when I started getting better in synchronized swimming. And that's when I, for the first, started feeling a little bit being bullied. When I was bullied, I never understood what I was doing wrong. And am I the bad one or they're the bad ones? And then my family had to move to Miami, and obviously I had to move with them. I felt here that I was a little bit like a stranger, Everyone would ask me, I have an accent where I'm from. So I really try to not listen what other people tell me or what they will think. I try to do what I really think so and what I think is right. After the pandemic started, obviously everything shut down, and I started doing videos just for fun, just for myself, because TikTok was trending at that time. And honestly, it was just a usual day. I just posted on my TikTok in the evening, I remember, and then in 30 minutes, I got my first million views. I was like, what? I memorized the beats a couple times before I got underwater and just played in my head. I'm trying to make a real art, which I think people will love it. The sport itself really helped me to grow as a person. I'm thankful for who I am. And I really don't care right now what people will tell me, if I will do those silly dances. Sometimes I get the, comments, why do I do that? I do what I want. I do what I love. My advice will be, don't really do what people tell you. Do what you think is right.
That is unbelievable. I can't even look underwater. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
It's been widely reported that the Minneapolis Police Union is paying for Derek Chauvin's defense. The prosecution even brought it up in court.
The police federation, the union, is funding the defendant's defense.
But that's not exactly true. So let's verify.
Is the Minneapolis Police Union funding Chauvin's defense? Our sources, the Minneapolis Police Union and the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association. In a text, the president of the police union, known as the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis, tells me they are not paying for Chauvin's defense. The head of the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association tells me they're the ones footing the bill.
So what's the difference? Well, the MPPOA is a larger association that police unions all over Minnesota pay to be part of. The Minneapolis Police Union is a member. And since Derek Chauvin was on the force when the incident happened, he was a member too. Now, one of the benefits of that membership is a legal defense fund to represent officers if criminal charges come up after a critical incident.
Even though Chauvin was fired after George Floyd's death, the MPPOA's bylaws say he's entitled to that defense, since he was acting in the scope of his duties as a police officer. I spoke with Brian Peters, the head of the MPPOA. He tells me we can't pick and choose which cases we're going to defend or not defend. Eric Nelson, Chauvin's attorney, is one of the lawyers the MPPOA works with. How much it'll cost them, Peters doesn't know. They haven't gotten any bills, though he says their prior cases have run between $375,000 and $500,000. He says people are calling to donate, but they're not taking that money, though other organizations are helping Chauvin with other expenses.
So we can verify, no, the Minneapolis Police Union is not funding Derek Chauvin's defense. It's the larger Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association paying those legal fees. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Welcome back to DBL. We're helping you save money on insurance. So did you know a simple lifestyle change can influence your premiums? Let me tell you about some. And we're chatting about it in today's Bang for Your Buck presented by The Hartford. First up, exercising can make a big difference. Just a few pounds can lower your premium. Second, quit smoking. That will save you big bucks and have a huge impact in the eyes of an insurance underwriter and for your lungs. Lastly, improving your driving record can also save you cash. Once you've made a few changes, check back with an insurer for the best quote possible. We've made it easy when it comes to quality and affordable insurance. The Buck's got your back. The Hartford will be happy to provide you solutions. Call the Hartford at 1-800-684-6085 or visit thehartford.com to learn more. Very helpful. I got a lot of clap back from people on the Biden outfit.
Okay.
So Cindy is very upset with me on Facebook. Fair. Tori, the First Lady, is always on duty. She is a public icon and as such should always be on point whenever she is in public. That being said, she looked fine, just a bit edgy.
There we go.
Someone said, I am a 67-year-old woman, Marilyn, in excellent shape, but I would not wear what Flotus was wearing, inappropriate. And someone says, Lynn says, I'm an 80s rocker. I go to concerts weekly. She looked fantastic.
Didn't I say that outfit was perfect for a concert? Oh, she and I get along. And Al checks out now. I'll take that win.
Cool. DBL's new every day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Nearly 40,000 fans packed the Texas Rangers home opener, marking one of the first full-capacity sporting events in a year. Is gathering like this just too risky right now? ESPN fires a former NBA legend after a wild Instagram Live featuring exotic dancers. Did he deserve to get canned? First Lady Jill Biden rocks a pair of fishnet patterned tights, but why do so many people have a problem with her outfit? And our Strong Women series continues with a synchronized swimmer who's gone viral for her underwater dance moves.
I do what I want. I do what I love.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Tuesday, April 6th. I am Sam here with Jeff and Al. Tori joins us from home. So believe it or not, we've got some sports-related stories today. But if you're not into sports, don't worry. There's a lot more going on here, okay? So stay with us. First, did you see last night's Texas Rangers home opener in Arlington, Texas? Look at that. The game was played in front of a max capacity crowd. That's around 40,000 people. Now, I want you to take a closer look because you can see some people, yes, wearing masks. But then again, many others are not. Plus, with everyone packed together, it was impossible to maintain social distancing. So we all knew it was going to happen at some point, the first sold-out sporting event since the start of the pandemic. But what do you think, DBL Nation? We want to hear from you. Too soon? Jeff, what do you make of this?
I don't know. You know, like, we're going to have to start getting back to some sort of normal at some point. For me, we're almost at that, since we're talking sports, the goal line, right? We're almost there. And I think we just need to wait a little bit longer. I get that people are vaccinated now. I get that we know that ultraviolet rays in the sun help kill the spread of the COVID vaccine. So being outside in general. All that being said, it's still a little too soon. I wouldn't go to a full capacity sporting event or concert myself, and I still would wear a mask.
If you want to keep up with the sports lingo, I'll say huge penalty here. You like that?
Oh, there you go.
Huge penalty.
Yellow card?
40,000 or a yellow card, whatever you want to say. Red card, I'd say.
Oh, that harsh?
Yes, that harsh.
Okay.
40,000 people. Hospitalizations right now in America are on the rise. I just left a hospital visiting my brother-in-law, and literally that whole ICU is filled with COVID patients. So nurses are already exhausted. Doctors are already exhausted. There's another 2 new variants. Why would we chance this out? Why? When we're almost to the goal line.
Because I don't think people have anything left, Sam. I think for us,
their lives.
Yes, their lives. I'm saying from their perspective. I think for certain people like myself, I'm kind of like, for as much as I'm a comic and a host, I'm an introvert. I love to stay at home and I can write for hours. I love being alone. But some people, like our own Lindsey Granger, love to connect.
You
love
can
to be with
connect
people.
without going to a 40,000 person packed stadium.
I agree. But I just don't know if everybody has the same stamina as you do, fortunately or unfortunately. And I look at this as overall probably more of a negative than a positive. But at least we will now have some kind of control group to see if there is spread from this event and get more data.
Oh, man.
That's the only way you can look at it. You know, it happened.
Don't look at it that way at all. It's really upsetting. Okay, Tori, we got more sports talk for you, girl. We're not done with sports yet. Okay, so Texas Governor Greg Abbott was supposed to throw out the ceremonial first pitch. But after Major League Baseball moved its All-Star game out of Georgia, he sent a letter saying, nope, no thanks. He also said Texas would no longer host any future special events for MLB. So speaking of the All-Star game, it will now be played right here in Denver at the Coors Field. How cool is that? Not far from where we are shooting. So, Tori, what do you think about Governor Abbott snubbing MLB and the game being in Denver?
First off, he's allowed to snub whoever he wants. That's fine. I just think it's funny when people complain about cancel culture.
Isn't it, Tori? You can snub whoever you want.
Yes. Yeah, good one there, Al. No, but what's interesting is, like, I think when we talk cancel culture, we're seeing more and more of this getting pettier and pettier. And at some point, Denver is going to see a huge rise in money from all the vendors, from all the people around, from everybody that, like, sells T-shirts. And Atlanta and Georgia is going to see a real loss, and that's where the whole hit the wallet thing. So it's going to make a difference, and I just hope people stop with the pettiness and allow companies to speak their mind. They're not incongruous big blobs of nothingness. They have something to say. Let them say it.
You want to throw out that first pitch, don't you?
I sure do.
Right here at Coors Field. Let's put it out there.
Yeah,
Everybody,
let's have that happen.
Jeff to do it.
I do.
it, Jeff.
I want to get back there. Yeah. I had an opportunity last year, but it something happened. It's called coronavirus. But anyways, I agree with Tori. Yesterday we were talking on the show, and everyone was worried about what MLB stood for, right? Guess who the winners are and the losers are, and then pulling out. The state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta are the losers. Major League Baseball is still going to put on their All-Star game. They're still going to make money, and now Colorado is going to take that income. I made that same point yesterday, and now who's a loser? Texas, because now they're getting political about MLB because they made a decision based on politics. It needs to be separated. I get people.
It's not separated though, because
but Major League people need to take a stance. But this is the effect. You're ruining your city and you're losing income based on your political decisions.
I agree with you, but Major League Baseball also does contribute financially. A lot of them do, and a lot of those managers and owners, and a lot of them contribute financially to politics. So why wouldn't they be able to use their platform when they're already involved?
Because your city just lost $100 million. That's why, for your political view. Why don't you let
they're
baseball
going to lose
play
more money
baseball?
if Coca-Cola and other major corporations pull out of their cities. They're going to lose more money in the long run, in my opinion.
Okay, we'll see where this goes.
All right, good talk. So more sports, guys. We got more. NBA
Sam,
analysts.
did you anger the producers or something with all these sports stories?
I'm
I love
excited
it.
about all these. I was a D1 athlete. Were you?
Ooh.
Oh, the horn.
Okay.
No, me and Tori both drank on that one. That was a zinger.
Analyst. Former Celtics player Paul Pierce is out of a job right now. It was all over this Instagram Live video he posted on Friday, showing him surrounded by scantily clad women. He was also smoking what appears to be a marijuana cigarette or a blunt, which we had to censor. Pierce previously worked at ESPN as part of their NBA Countdown pregame show since he retired from the sport in 2017. Pierce, who is married, seemed to address in his tweet saying, "I can't lose. Even when I lose, I'm winning." So the question is, what was he thinking, and was ESPN right for firing him, Jeff?
I mean, I feel like he wanted out. Why would you do this if you didn't think there was a chance of you getting fired? I mean, again, everything that we post on this or everything we show on the show, I'm always the old fuddy-duddy answer, right? There's something is called class. There's something is doing things in private. I'm not against what he's doing, right? I mean, I am personally, but I don't care what you do in your own home. You don't need to post that on social media. You don't need to show everybody what you're doing. And now you're challenging the network and your producers saying, this is what I do at home, and I'm going to post what I want. And now it's on you to agree with it or disagree.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. This had our my group chat with the homies on fire last night. I thought that this is pretty cut and dry, that this was not a great idea, but I got a lot of pushback from that.
How?
A lot of people are saying it's his right to do whatever he wants.
Not when you work for a corporation.
That was my entire point. When you start
He's
getting
got a podcast, sure.
Yes, when you start getting checks signed from another corporation, you are beholden to them. And my example this morning, Sam, was like, you have a wonderful candle company, Byron & Co.
Thank you.
If you guys sign me to be to represent your company, and on Instagram I start using your candles in terms of devil pentagrams because I'm trying to push that.
I wouldn't be happy with
yes,
that.
Yes, you would not want your product associated with a pentagram, and so you would pull that.
And
it's
also,
my right to make pentagrams. It's your right to not pay me to do that with your product. This is
Tori,
not
go
personal,
ahead.
Tori.
Yes, Tori, go ahead.
No, I completely agree with Al. It's a really weird and cultish example, and I'm totally into it. I also have to say ESPN is owned by Disney. We have to remember Disney owns ESPN, and their image is super important. And when you write an employer's contract and you write a moral clause, that can be really vague. And smoking a blunt might be legal in California, and the strippers might have been legal, but all of it isn't Disney's image, and that's what they care about most. So it's completely legal to say, yo, I think he wanted to go, and that's why he said he's winning. I think he got some like severance pay.
Really? So this was all orchestrated, you believe?
I don't think that smoking weed with strippers and playing poker is an orchestrated act.
He said, I'm winning.
He may. What else is he going to say? That was a terrible idea?
Even when I lose, I'm winning.
If he didn't want to lose the job, yes, I think he would have backpedaled and he would have apologized. I agree with Tori.
I think either you double down or you apologize, and he chose to double down.
You want to use that pentagram analogy again?
I do. I'm just saying this. We're joking around. Hold two thoughts in your head. It's not illegal to smoke weed or hang out with strippers. It's not illegal to get fired. Both parties win.
Sometimes it's illegal to get fired.
They are allowed to fire you.
Coming up on DBL, even more sports? What? Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers makes his guest hosting debut on Jeopardy! But did he do well enough to get the job permanently? Plus, Piers Morgan is not backing down from his criticism of Meghan Markle. In fact, he's going all in. And First Lady Jill Biden's style choice is making headlines. Why? And why do you think, and what do you think of her fishnet pattern tights? We're going to get into all that coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by
This so-called double mutant variant was first discovered in India. As you can guess, this variant contains 2 mutations to the coronavirus. The mutations have been seen before in different variants. One is similar to a so-called California variant. The other was found in variants discovered in Brazil and South Africa. The first case of this double mutant in the U.S. was diagnosed in a patient in the San Francisco area. So what does this mean? Experts are concerned that these mutations make the variant more contagious. That's because both help the virus latch onto cells. India first revealed its existence in March, and now cases are surging in the country. In one hard-hit Indian state, political leaders claim the new variant is not necessarily to blame, instead pointing fingers at large gatherings. More research is needed on this double mutant variant, but experts are hopeful the current vaccines will be effective against it. Despite the lack of hard data, they point to the fact that the vaccines work on these same mutations seen individually in other variants. But the emergence of these new variants of concern reinforces to health officials that widespread vaccinations are needed to stop the creation of new mutations.
Welcome back to DBL. Check out all our coworkers at home during the pandemic, smiling, being all happy. We miss you. Keep up the great work, everyone. So no matter who is in the White House, there's a lot of pressure on the First Lady, especially when it comes to what they wear. And Dr. Joe Biden is no different. Twitter went crazy over these pictures of the 69-year-old First Lady who was photographed wearing a black skirt, booties, and a pair of fishnet pattern tights. Well, a lot of people did not like the look. One person tweeted, "Jill Biden is just too old to be wearing fishnets. It's gross." Another saying it's not just the fishnets, it's a whole mess. A mini skirt, all black, not too springy. The outfit is ugly for a woman of any age. But some disagreed, saying Dr. Jill Biden's tights were not fishnets. Also, they were quite cute, and she rocked them. Tori, this is so uncomfortable even talking about. And we're talking about it here in DBL because you all are apparently talking about it. Why do people care so much about what women wear? And why does it have to be mutually exclusive if you're like intelligent, but then you can't dress a certain way, sexy?
And, you know, Sam, it's so funny. From the early show, I got a lot of comments from women. I said, please write me. Actually, I said write Al because he has a terrible idea about this. But I said, write me if you're over 65 and you feel like you can't dress sexy in societal norms. And I got a lot of responses. It's like suddenly when you hit 65, you can't wear leather. God forbid there's a pattern of triangles on your tights. My God. She wasn't acting as First Lady, in my opinion, in a real like state dinner way. She was off to somewhere using her airplane, which is hers as a private citizen in that respect. And I thought she rocked it. She works hard on that body. And I'd rather see that than a jacket that says, I don't really care, do you?
Tori, I'm so taken back. There were so many parts of your argument that were faulty. First of all,
whoa.
When you start talking about like any 65-year-old woman, I think anybody should be able to wear anything anytime they want. But you need to throw in the caveat, when you are the First Lady, and that is not her airplane, that is the people's airplane. And she is given that status. She is given her own plane with stairs that go down to the ground because she has a certain status, and we expect her to uphold certain things when she is in the public eye.
What?
Like when you were getting off US 1, period.
What is wrong with her outfit? Let's look at it. So what is not stately about this? And I just want to repeat
that. Stately?
What's wrong with that?
It's fine if you're on Miami Beach.
That's a Miami Beach outfit?
Yes, I lived there for 10 years. I'll tell you exactly what those outfits look like. Yes.
That's a Miami Beach outfit.
100, yeah, about
okay,
11
so
o'clock.
when Michelle Obama did not wear stockings, everybody was upset. When Melania wore certain outfits, everybody was upset. How come we don't see this with their male counterparts? How come we only
We saw
see
this with Obama's
females?
taupe suit.
Not nearly. You cannot.
They talked about it on Fox News for 4 straight days.
You cannot compare the scrutiny that is applied to the females in the White House compared to the males. It is super sexist, not only ageist here, but sexist. Jeff?
Listen, I'm going to agree with Al on this one.
Of course you are.
Of course, because I don't know, maybe, I don't know, whatever it is. You're generalizing all women. This is the first lady of the United States, okay? She's at a certain age. She looks great to me, right? But if we're questioning whether she should wear that or not, if this was Melania, there would be memes all over. We had 10 memes of Donald Trump.
And I would defend Melania.
Well, we haven't in the past, is what I'm saying.
I have about her outfits.
Okay, but I'm saying...
I do not care one, but I have about the other outfits.
But Al is saying we're losing all morals and standards here. Like, you could do whatever you want. Our last story, you could smoke weed and have strippers. It's okay. Do what you want. It's not okay. It's not okay to do that if you work for a network. It's not okay if you're the first lady of the United States. There's certain statuses that come with certain jobs or positions. And
but
just like the last with Paul Pierce,
right?
just like the first lady, we can't just people doing whatever they want because they want a certain freedom. You have to pick one or the other. You can't have both.
You're telling us the societal norm of what you won't take. Why is it based upon your opinion and not upon her opinion, which made she felt good about it?
I don't care what she wears, Tori. I think she looks great. But I'm saying in society, why do people always have to push this line? It's okay if I have hookers and I'm married and whatever. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm still going to keep my job with Disney.
I didn't think it was okay.
Is everyone crazy?
None of us thought it was okay.
If Biden got off the plane with like just something like somebody like Bob Marley smoking weed on a T-shirt,
you're comparing
and some Nike shorts, we would say the same thing.
That would not be the same thing.
That's not the same.
Absolutely, he would be glorifying drug paraphernalia, even if it is legal.
A Green Bay Packers helmet then.
Albert.
Seriously.
Okay, so it's not like she walked off the plane in pasties. I feel like we're on a totally I can't with you, Al.
Well, now I have that visual and the segment's over. Thank you, Sam.
We'll be right back.
How's she doing?
Better now.
Verify exists to bring you the facts about the misinformation that's spreading on social media. A viewer sent us this Facebook post, which makes a couple claims about phone scams, like this. If you press *#90 or #09* while on the phone with another caller, they can, quote, access your SIM card, make calls at your expense, and frame you as a criminal. Sounds pretty out there. So let's verify if there's any truth to this. Our sources are the FCC and Kane McGladrey, a member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And they say that there's a grain of truth here, but that's all. The FCC has this warning on their website, that if someone calls your office phone and you dial these numbers, they could, quote, place calls that are billed to your office telephone number. That just means that they could transfer the call. But McGladrey told us that this only goes for office phones. Quote, this doesn't affect cell phones or residential landlines. So while it's true that this could make calls at your expense, the claim that they can access your SIM card is false. And as for the claim that they could frame you as a criminal, not so much. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. While the pandemic has turned a major corner thanks to the vaccines, we can't relax completely just yet. Dr. Payal Kohli joins us live. Hey, Doc. So we want to talk about the double mutant variant in California. What can you tell us about it?
So you guys, the vaccine was, the virus was getting smarter before, right? It was accumulating these mutations that were either making the spike protein stickier or they were helping it evade the antibody response. This double mutant is even smarter. It's essentially taken the superpowers from all the previous single mutants and accumulated them. So it's the first time that we're seeing two mutations in the same virus. And of course, we don't yet know how that impacts the behavior of this mutant, but it concerns us because it could make it not just more efficient to spread, but also more likely to evade our antibody response.
Wow.
Hey, Doc, so Dr. Fauci describes our current state as a race between the vaccines and the variants. Let's take a quick look.
Well, I think the best way for people to understand it, George, is that it really is somewhat of a race between the vaccine and the now essentially evolving more and more of these variants that we're seeing that have a greater capability of transmitting from person to person and likely even making it more serious disease.
So, Doc, my question for you is, are you concerned about another surge? We just talked about the baseball game in Texas, at full capacity, with the vaccine still rolling out. Is it safe or not safe?
So you know what I'm picturing, Jeff? I'm picturing you running away from a giant coronavirus cartoon, which is the variant, running towards the vaccine. And that's essentially what we're all doing. We're all trying to get to the vaccine before the virus catches us. And the vaccine has really helped the older people get there, but the younger people who are still unvaccinated are obviously spreading some of these variants, which is concerning. But another thing that the vaccine has done, which has been really interesting, is in a way it's blindfolded us. So we're not really able to see what our opponent is doing as well. Because remember, when you get vaccinated, you're a lot less likely to end up in the hospital. In fact, 100% less likely. You're a lot less likely to be symptomatic. So we may not even know if this surge is coming because it won't reflect in our hospitalizations or in our cases necessarily.
Wow. All right. Well, Doc, let's do this. The CDC has just revised its guidelines and is calling for an end to something called hygiene theater. Can you explain to me and our viewers what that is and why they want to end it?
Yeah, so let's talk about this because I actually am in disagreement with this term hygiene theater. But essentially what hygiene theater is the practice of, sanitizing all of our surfaces. And some people are saying, based on the new CDC guidelines, that it's not necessary. Because what the CDC is telling us is that there's less than a 1 in 10,000 chance that you'll catch an infection from a surface. But I really don't like this term because I think it's degrading a practice that's really going to help with influenza, help with rhinovirus, help with norovirus, all the other viruses out there. So even if it's not such a big player in COVID, I really want to see this practice continue. So Al, I expect you to wipe down your desk after you're done today.
I promise. You got my word. I like it. I like stuff being clean.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pyle. We love you. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
It's been widely reported that the Minneapolis police union is paying for Derek Chauvin's defense. The prosecution even brought it up in court.
The police federation, the union, is funding the defendant's defense.
But that's not exactly true. So let's verify.
Is the Minneapolis Police Union funding Chauvin's defense? Our sources, the Minneapolis Police Union and the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association. In a text, the president of the police union, known as the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis, tells me they are not paying for Chauvin's defense. The head of the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association tells me they're the ones footing the bill.
So what's the difference? Well, the MPPOA is a larger association that police unions all over Minnesota pay to be part of. The Minneapolis Police Union is a member. And since Derek Chauvin was on the force when the incident happened, he was a member too. Now, one of the benefits of that membership is a legal defense fund to represent officers if criminal charges come up after a critical incident.
Even though Chauvin was fired after George Floyd's death, the MPPOA's bylaws say he's entitled to that defense, since he was acting in the scope of his duties as a police officer. I spoke with Brian Peters, the head of the MPPOA. He tells me we can't pick and choose which cases we're going to defend or not defend. Eric Nelson, Chauvin's attorney, is one of the lawyers the MPPOA works with. How much it'll cost them, Peters doesn't know. They haven't gotten any bills, though he says their prior cases have run between $375,000 and $500,000. He says people are calling to donate, but they're not taking that money, though other organizations are helping Chauvin with other expenses.
So we can verify, no, the Minneapolis Police Union is not funding Derek Chauvin's defense. It's the larger Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association paying those legal fees. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and of course, be part of our DBL Nation. But if you're sticking around, here is what's coming up. A synchronized swimmer's inspiring story of success, how she showed the haters what she's really made of in our series, Strong Women Inside and Out. You do not want to miss this. Plus, British TV host Piers Morgan is at it again, coming for Meghan Markle, why he's not backing down even after losing his job. And of course, a big thank you to our co-workers who are watching from home right now as they work so diligently for us. DBL is new every day. We'll be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Al. Tori joins us from home. I was just commenting on Jeff's new suit jacket. You look very good.
Well, thank you,
Dapper.
Johnson and Murphy. And well, let me show you a little trick. See this? I don't have a pocket square. That's just the inside of my pocket.
Oh, that's smart.
Isn't it awesome?
Could have fooled me.
It came like that. I didn't even know.
But that's why it's a little wrinkly. You need to shape it.
Well, no, that would just be a.
Listen, you ruined the
puff.
trick.
Sorry.
Just pulled the
What are
curtain
you,
back.
a magician?
Kinda. Look at this.
Okay.
Now Bert's all mad because it's not.
Yeah.
There you go.
You do look dapper. You do look dapper.
All right.
All right.
And Al's got on.
Al's got on giraffe socks.
Which we'll show you later.
Yeah, we will. Stay tuned for the giraffe socks.
I dig them.
Okay, let's get right to it, shall we? So Khloe Kardashian wants an unfiltered photo of her removed from the internet. Khloe is upset that this photo of her in a bikini by a pool was posted online and then began circulating all over. According to Page 6, the photo was taken over the weekend and was posted without her permission. So here's a look at that photo, okay? Next to one that Khloe posted on her Instagram. The Kardashians are reportedly threatening legal action to have the pic removed from websites. Now, in the past, Khloe has been accused of posting heavily edited and photoshopped pictures of her face and body on social media. Some people have even accused her of having work done because she looks so different. Tori, what do you make of this?
I mean,
we all know Khloe Kardashian is filtered and has had a lot of work done. I don't even recognize Khloe Kardashian anymore. Every time I see an Instagram, I think it's Kendall Jenner. I mean, her face is transformed, but that's her a business, you know, like that's okay. And I think when you're that famous, I don't know how you guys feel, but your image is almost so important. It can change a brand in like a middle of a tweet. I feel like she should have some control over her image, but I do understand that she also doesn't really have a right to ask some private person to take down the photo. But I get where she's coming from, and that comes from someone with insecurity about body issues.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No. I was just going to say, I mean, we focus on the Kardashians, and a lot of people put their anger towards the Kardashians. It's not like every single person on Instagram isn't filtering themselves, right? Everybody's doing this. She should have rolled with the punches on this one, in my opinion. To each their own.
Embraced it.
Yeah, I think exactly. To each their own. That is their image. That is how they make their money. But if she just would have rolled with the punches and be like, that's what I look like. This is me, natural. Of course, I filter my photos just like all of you guys out there. It would have came off a little better. Now that she's wanting to sue everybody, now she's getting the criticism. But I don't blame her for filtering the photos.
It's their business. It's literally their business. And I feel like, Jeff, I understand what you're saying. That's what you have to juggle in your head. Do we just kind of roll with this and let it go? Or do we fight it? Because if she decides to roll with it and then she posts a picture that looks like the other one, the one that had obviously been touched up, if now they're memes with the side by side and they're like, which one's really you? And now this is a thing that happens with all her pictures. It's affecting her brand and her business. So I think anybody.
I hate that it affects the brand, though. I'm with Jeff. I wish she would have embraced it because there's so many. Listen, we're all guilty of it. So I'm with you. I just know that there's so many young individuals that look to the Kardashians, look to all the different people on Instagram. And even though they understand and they know that filters are in play, it does affect your mental state and how you view your body. It's so unrealistic. It's so so there's a whole nother discussion that we could get into on this one, but it's her brand. I just wish that we were in a different place where a brand didn't equate to perfect body. And that's just unfortunate. It's totally unrealistic. Nobody has the perfect body. Everybody has stretch marks. Everybody has cellulite. Apparently, Al does not. Okay, I'll give you some of mine.
There's perfection right there.
No, I said that when you said perfect body. That was.
I know. You raised your hand that you have a perfect body.
I do.
You do. You do. Okay, so Piers Morgan is tripling down on his war against Meghan Markle and cancel culture. He recently spoke to Tucker Carlson in his first TV interview since leaving his job at Good Morning Britain. He said he should have the right to question whether Meghan Markle was telling the truth in her interview with Oprah last month without being branded a racist. Take a look.
I was under attack from Miss Markle, both directly to my boss and to the government regulatory body, under attack to basically conform to her version of events. And I had to believe her. And if I didn't, I was a callous racist and I should be condemned and ultimately, as it turned out later that day, lose my job. I should be allowed, in a democracy that values freedom of speech, I should be allowed to say, I'm sorry, I don't believe you.
What do you make of this, Al?
From what I remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, this wasn't so much about Meghan Markle. This was about his comments about suicide and the fact that the channel that he worked for had a huge campaign going because they had lost an anchor to suicide. So I feel like suicide is not Tucker Carlson's lane. His lane is cancel culture, free speech. I should be able to say whatever I want. So I feel like, again, and Jeff, I've talked to you before about this. I never let anybody set the narrative for what I'm going to discuss. And they're trying to set the narrative like this is about Meghan Markle. He got fired, as far as I know, for his comments on suicide and because it went against the entire network's stance because they had lost an anchor to suicide. So this seems like the garnish on the steak dinner.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. And it's a network's choice. They could do whatever they want. It goes back to the network again. I don't mean to keep bringing up Paul Piers, but it goes back to the network, right? You're working for a network. Piers was working for a network. I'm not pulling a Sharon Osbourne here, but I agree with Piers in the sense that you could say whatever you want. You do have to deal with those consequences, but you should be allowed to say whatever you want. We live in a society now where people automatically put labels on you to silence you. I believe this. Well, that's because you're homophobic. I believe this. That's because you're racist. Well, I think this. That's because you're sexist. All those labels are meant to shut you down and not speak. You agree with my side 100%, or I'm going to put a label on you and silence you. I don't like the silencing. I don't like what Piers said necessarily, but he should have the right to say it.
Tori? I don't always, first off, I was going to say the same thing. He has a right to say it. He just has to deal with the consequences. But when Jeff says, you put a label on me and you shut me up and you silence me, sometimes I feel like those labels actually are holding someone accountable. And sometimes I feel like we've gotten too close to being like, it's cancel culture, don't do this, you're shutting me up. Sometimes it's just like, yo, you've crossed a line that makes me uncomfortable, and that's a boundary I'm not willing to just let go anymore. So I feel like it's in between. Piers Morgan obviously went way overboard, and he saw those consequences, but not a label isn't always somebody to shut you down. Sometimes it's to educate you.
No, it's not. Here, I'm going to push back, Tori, in this sense. We just throw around these words like white supremacists. If you say something little off-colored, you're labeled a white supremacist as opposed to Hitler and what a white supremacist really is. You can't just throw these words around and everyone just jump on board and think it's okay. You're making it okay. I'm saying that's part of the problem.
And I hear you, but I don't think everyone's throwing around white supremacy as much as you're hearing.
I think they are. Male toxicity,
defensive.
racist, homophobic, all these words, when you compare them to what those words really mean, we're throwing them around way too often.
And I think they're finally being allowed to see the light of the day. And I hear what you're saying, but I think both can be true.
I don't.
And I would just say, final thought on that. I think that both parties, Jeff, you're saying these labels are being thrown around. Tori, you're saying that they're being thrown around the appropriate amount of time. Don't forget that the public ultimately decides. If somebody called Sam Shocker a white supremacist, there would be no. But Sam, my point is, there would be no traction for that.
Great.
There wouldn't be hundreds of thousands of people retweeting that because it's not true.
Exactly.
So when things are true, they will get traction. When they are not, they will not, and they will just go away. The public does decide ultimately.
Okay. All right. Let's get to this next story. Aaron Rodgers made his hosting debut on Jeopardy last night and ended up getting trolled by a contestant. Have a look.
Scott, did you come up with the correct response? Who wanted to kick that field goal? That is a great question. Should be correct, but unfortunately for this game today, that's incorrect.
The contestant was poking fun at the Green Bay Packers' decision not to go for a touchdown, instead kick a field goal during their NFC Championship game against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, but let's get back to Aaron Rodgers as Jeopardy host. I felt like he needed like a Red Bull. And maybe that's because I naturally have a lot of energy, and I usually have to suppress my energy. I usually have to like take a few breaths before I speak because I'm go, go, go. But homeboy was like a sloth.
Boring.
But listen, I'm going to defend him in this. I didn't know Aaron Rodgers even had this in him.
He's so smart.
And he won Celebrity Jeopardy as a contestant. I didn't know he had this in him. Like just watching football all those years, I know him from as a quarterback, right? I didn't know he had this kind of demeanor. But like Alex Trebek said, it's not about him. It's about the contestants.
But he made it about him because I was so listening to his slow, chill delivery that I didn't think about anything but his slow, chill delivery.
And I thought in that moment, the way he answered that and responded to that contestant was great. You know, I didn't know he had that in him. He laughed, he chuckled it off, he made a joke. I thought he did a good job.
And can I just say this? And Lord knows I don't want to ever do this. If we rolled back to season 1, episode 1, 2, or 3 of DBL, it would be a much different show. He's coming from a different world.
What?
Yeah.
Tori was fantastic.
Yeah, it takes a while to get, as they call, your sea legs.
Yes.
And he's a person that loves Jeopardy. He really is a savant. Like, I think he is on almost a genius level. And I think he's got some cash in. Give him a chance.
Yeah, okay. I'll give him a chance.
Okay, hold on. Really quick, I just want to bring up that a lot of fans have asked for LeVar Burton, who is the host of Reading Rainbow, to host it. And there's a petition out. And a lot of people say he has a little more charisma, as Sam was saying, and he'd be a really great host. So take a look at that petition if you're interested.
I dig it. I really do. Thank you, Tori. So there are rumors that Chris Hemsworth and Russell Crowe might be teaming up for Gladiator 2. The actors were spotted hanging out in Sydney last month with Chris's wife. So according to the Australian website New Idea, the pair are in talks to co-produce the sequel with Chris starring as Russell's son. Meanwhile, Chris recently told The Telegraph that he is not taken seriously in Hollywood because of his buff physique. Chris posts his workout videos on Instagram and has to stay in shape for his role as Thor in the Avengers movies. He said he would only be regarded as, quote, a serious actor if he put on a bunch of unhealthy weight or got really skinny for a role. He's right, unfortunately. People know you don't agree?
I'm trying to think, are there any super buff actors that are kind of that play serious roles?
No.
Well, be appreciative of what you have instead of what you don't have. Okay, he's worth $100 million, $130 million for playing this role. So I wouldn't just snuff my nose, whatever the word is. I can't even think.
Your nose.
What do you do at it?
Don't ask me.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
snub your nose.
Snub my nose.
Snub your nose.
I had a fluff.
Anyways, I want to go back to the Gladiator. That's my favorite movie in the whole world, the Gladiator. So I'm glad this is coming back, but I'm a little confused because his son got killed in the first one. But I would love to see a Gladiator too. Back to snuffing my nose. You know, if he was skinny, he'd say, I can't get the buff roles. I can't be a superhero. So everyone's always complaining. I want to hear, you know what, I'm super happy for what I have in life. And if you really want it, let that rope go, let yourself go, and try to go be a good actor. But now you're taking the risk of not getting those roles.
Or you just keep showing up as a buff actor, going after those roles, and eventually, if you're good enough, you will get it. I
just remembered. You asked a question earlier. I'm sorry, and I'll answer it after you finish.
No, I'm done now.
Sorry, a light bulb literally just went off on my head.
I felt it.
So you remember the wrestler?
Yes.
Okay, remember Mickey Rourke? Buff.
Yeah.
Nominated for an actor that year.
But he was playing an aging wrestler.
An Oscar that year. So what? You said that there was no buff actors that ever were taken seriously. I just gave you
I didn't
one.
say that there are no retired wrestling actors, which is what he played. I'm talking about somebody that is jacked with an 8-pack like that guy is. You don't see those roles in like...
You're backpedaling.
No, I'm saying you don't see guys like that in independent films about a love story.
You said, are there any buff actors that were taken seriously? I just gave you one.
He's formerly buff. He was not buff in that movie. Stop.
Why are you shaking your head?
Oh, because someone said something in my ear and I was just agreeing with them off camera.
Oh, I thought you were agreeing with me.
Oh, I was, totally.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was.
Someone said Hugh Jackman. That's what they said in my ear and I shook my head.
Oh, yeah.
But he's a small guy, though.
How about Mark Wahlberg?
What's the Christian Bale one?
Mark Wahlberg.
And the Christian Bale one.
Christian Bale was more
We're talking
ripped.
about big guys like The Rock.
Yeah, he was more ripped, not buff.
Matthew McConaughey was buff, and then he lost that
Zac
one.
Efron is
and then
ripped.
he won an Oscar in Dallas Buyers Club.
When was Matthew McConaughey buff?
I don't think...
What? He's always buff.
I don't think Chris Hemsworth's a good actor.
Chris Hemsworth are not in the same league.
There's a difference between being like built and then buff.
That's a good point.
Yes.
I don't know why you had to change your voice.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got it.
I'm so done. Someone else read the rest of the prompter.
Coming up on DBL, a synchronized swimmer tells us about overcoming hardship and bullying and why you should never be afraid to make waves. Next in our series, Strong Women, Inside and Out. And check out our co-workers from home. There they are, looking good, kids. You guys keep smiling. You guys are going to be back in the studio sooner than you know. We'll be right back.
This so-called double mutant variant was first discovered in India. As you can guess, this variant contains 2 mutations to the coronavirus. The mutations have been seen before in different variants. One is similar to a so-called California variant. The other was found in variants discovered in Brazil and South Africa. The first case of this double mutant in the U.S. was diagnosed in a patient in the San Francisco area. So what does this mean? Experts are concerned that these mutations make the variant more contagious. That's because both help the virus latch onto cells. India first revealed its existence in March, and now cases are surging in the country. In one hard-hit Indian state, political leaders claim the new variant is not necessarily to blame, instead pointing fingers at large gatherings. More research is needed on this double mutant variant, but experts are hopeful the current vaccines will be effective against it. Despite the lack of hard data, they point to the fact that the vaccines work on these same mutations seen individually in other variants. But the emergence of these new variants of concern reinforces to health officials that widespread vaccinations are needed to stop the creation of new mutations.
Welcome back to DBL. Moving far away from your hometown can make anyone feel like a fish out of water. But today, our featured strong woman shows us that even when you're the outsider, it's okay to make some waves. Check it out.
My name is Christina Marcuschenko, and originally I'm from Moscow. I did artistic swimming for a little bit over 13 years, and I achieved the level of 4-time world champion and 2 times European champion in synchronized swimming. So I'm an artist, and I always had that ever since I was a baby. So I think that's why synchronized swimming matched me so well. I feel like I own this pool. I want to show up, and it's like, it's like a show underwater. During my sport career, I went through a lot of hard things. At the age of 11, that's when I started getting better in synchronized swimming, and that's when I, for the first time, feeling a little bit being bullied. When I was bullied, I never understood what I was doing wrong, and am I the bad one or they're the bad ones? And then my family had to move to Miami, and obviously I had to move with them. I felt here that I was a little bit like a stranger, Everyone would ask me, I have an accent where I'm from. So I really try to not listen what other people tell me or what they will think. I try to do what I really think so and what I think is right. After the pandemic started, obviously, everything shut down. And I started doing videos just for fun, just for myself, because TikTok was trending at that time. And honestly, it was just a usual day. I just posted on my TikTok in the evening, I remember. And then in 30 minutes, I got my first million views. I was like, what? I memorized the beat a couple times before I go underwater and just played in my head. I'm trying to make a real art, which I think people will love it. So the sport itself really helped me to grow as a person. I'm thankful for who I am. And I really don't care right now what people will tell me, if I will do those silly dances. Sometimes I get the, comments, why do I do that? I do what I want. I do what I love. My advice will be, don't really do what people tell you. Do what you think is right.
Wow, how incredible is she? We'll be right back.
We all know that movement is like that.
Verify exists to bring you the facts about the misinformation that's spreading on social media. A viewer sent us this Facebook post, which makes a couple claims about phone scams. Like this: if you press *#90 or #09* while on the phone with another caller, they can, quote, access your SIM card, make calls at your expense, and frame you as a criminal. Sounds pretty out there, so let's verify if there's any truth to this. Our sources are the FCC and Kane McGladrey, a member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And they say that there's a grain of truth here, but that's all. The FCC has this warning on their website, that if someone calls your office phone and you dial these numbers, they could, quote, place calls that are billed to your office telephone number. That just means that they could transfer the call. But McGladrey told us that this only goes for office phones. Quote, this doesn't affect cell phones or residential landlines. So while it's true that this could make calls at your expense, the claim that they can access your SIM card is false. And as for the claim that they could frame you as a criminal, not so much. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. We are helping you save money on insurance. Did you know a few simple lifestyle changes can influence your premium? We're chatting about it in today's Bang for Your Buck, presented by The Hartford. First, exercising can make a big difference. Just a few pounds can lower your premium. Second, quit smoking. That will save you big bucks and have a huge impact in the eyes of an insurance underwriter. Lastly, improving your driving record can also save you cash. Once you've made a few changes, check back with an insurer for the best quote possible. We've made it easy when it comes to quality and affordable insurance. The Buck's got your back. The Hartford will be happy to provide you solutions. So call the Hartford at 1-800-684-6085 or visit thehartford.com to learn more. Makes sense.
Yeah, they say not moving and not exercising is the new smoking. They say that's even worse.
Who says that?
That's just around.
Doctors.
Just floating around?
It's
Honestly,
real.
Being
It's real,
sedentary.
yeah.
That's why I like the QB and certain things are so good to just keep your legs moving, keep your body going. I know a lot of people. I know my agent. He just has
my gosh.
He has a desk and he's got a treadmill on it. He just walks like really slowly and he does his work. Just got to keep moving.
How Hollywood is he?
I know.
You guys don't have agents? Thank you.
My publicist has brown hair.
Yeah, my manager called.
What do you say? Stop attacking Al?
No.
Be nicer to Al?
He said Hollywood called. They don't want you back.
Wow. She's giving you the stones today,
Sam
buddy.
has really been coming at me today. We're going to have a meeting right after the show.
Oh.
Right in that empty conference room. Me and you.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
It's been widely reported that the Minneapolis Police Union is paying for Derek Chauvin's defense. The prosecution even brought it up in court.
The Police Federation, the union, is funding the defendant's defense.
But that's not exactly true. So let's verify.
Is the Minneapolis Police Union funding Chauvin's defense? Our sources, the Minneapolis Police Union and the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association. In a text, the president of the police union, known as the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis, tells me they are not paying for Chauvin's defense. The head of the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association tells me they're the ones footing the bill.
So what's the difference? Well, the MPPOA is a larger association that police unions all over Minnesota pay to be part of. The Minneapolis Police Union is a member. And since Derek Chauvin was on the force when the incident happened, he was a member too. Now, one of the benefits of that membership is a legal defense fund to represent officers if criminal charges come up after a critical incident.
Even though Chauvin was fired after George Floyd's death, the MPPOA's bylaws say he's entitled to that defense, since he was acting in the scope of his duties as a police officer. I spoke with Brian Peters, the head of the MPPOA. He tells me we can't pick and choose which cases we're going to defend or not defend. Eric Nelson, Chauvin's attorney, is one of the lawyers the MPPOA works with. How much it'll cost them, Peters doesn't know. They haven't gotten any bills, though he says their prior cases have run between $375,000 and $500,000. He says people are calling to donate, but they're not taking that money, though other organizations are helping Chauvin with other expenses.
So we can verify, no, the Minneapolis Police Union is not funding Derek Chauvin's defense. It's the larger Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association paying those legal fees. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Tomorrow on DBL, Everyone's favorite shark businessman and reality star Kevin O'Leary is joining us live and helping you make money. And in an all-new True Crime Chronicles, the bone-chilling podcast that reveals the murders hiding in plain sight. That's tomorrow right here on DBL.
You do not want to miss it. We're getting a lot of comments about you being the moderator. People love it. Okay, so we got sensitivity training saying, Sam, I hate to say this, but Al just proved you can be replaced. Hey, I'm Al's biggest fan. I say that you host the show one day.
Trending one day.
Okay.
I don't trust the serious stories.
Let's do it.
One day we'll do it.
Can we,
soon.
our executive producers, okay, so they're giving us the go-ahead. Al, we already saw, knocked it out of the park. He'll put his own stamp on it.
Watch out, Sam. I might be like Tom Brady. You bring me in for one play, the next thing you know, 10 rings.
We can take the risk. A quick goodbye to our co-workers who tuned in. We'll see you guys later. So DBL is new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.
Talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Nearly 40,000 fans packed the Texas Rangers home opener, marking one of the first full-capacity sporting events in a year. Is gathering like this just too risky right now? ESPN fires a former NBA legend after a wild Instagram Live featuring exotic dancers. Did he deserve to get canned? First Lady Jill Biden rocks a pair of fishnet patterned tights, but why do so many people have a problem with her outfit? And our Strong Women series continues with a synchronized swimmer who's gone viral for her underwater dance moves.
I do what I want, I do what I love.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Tuesday, April 6th. I am Sam here with Jeff and Al. Tori joins us from home. So believe it or not, we've got some sports-related stories today. But if you're not into sports, don't worry. There's a lot more going on here, okay? So stay with us. First, did you see last night's Texas Rangers home opener in Arlington, Texas? Look at that. The game was played in front of a max capacity crowd. That's around 40,000 people. Now, I want you to take a closer look because you can see some people, yes, wearing masks. But then again, many others are not. Plus, with everyone packed together, it was impossible to maintain social distancing. So we all knew it was going to happen at some point, the first sold-out sporting event since the start of the pandemic. But what do you think, DBL Nation? We want to hear from you. Too soon? Jeff, what do you make of this?
I don't know. You know, like, we're going to have to start getting back to some sort of normal at some point. For me, we're almost at that, since we're talking sports, the goal line, right? We're almost there. And I think we just need to wait a little bit longer. I get that people are vaccinated now. I get that we know that ultraviolet rays in the sun help kill the spread of the COVID vaccine. So being outside in general. All that being said, it's still a little too soon. I wouldn't go to a full capacity sporting event or concert myself, and I still would wear a mask.
If you want to keep up with the sports lingo, I'll say huge penalty here. You like that?
Oh, there you go.
Huge penalty.
Yellow card?
40,000 or a yellow card, whatever you want to say. Red card, I'd say.
Oh, that
yeah.
harsh?
Yes, that harsh.
Okay.
40,000 people. Hospitalizations right now in America are on the rise. I just left a hospital visiting my brother-in-law, and literally that whole ICU is filled with COVID patients. So nurses are already exhausted. Doctors are already exhausted. There's another 2 new variants. Why would we chance this out? Why? When we're almost to the goal line.
Because I don't think people have anything left, Sam. I think for us,
their lives.
Yes, their lives. I'm saying from their perspective. I think for certain people like myself, I'm kind of like, for as much as I'm a comic and a host, I'm an introvert. I love to stay at home and I can write for hours. I love being alone. But some people, like our own Lindsey Granger, love to connect.
You
love
can
to be with
connect
people.
without going to a 40,000 person packed stadium.
I agree. But I just don't know if everybody has the same stamina as you do, fortunately or unfortunately. And I look at this as overall probably more of a negative than a positive. But at least we will now have some kind of control group to see if there is spread from this event and get more data.
Oh, man.
That's the only way you can look at it. You know, it happened.
Don't look at it that way at all. It's really upsetting. Okay, Tori, we got more sports talk for you, girl. We're not done with sports yet. Okay, so Texas Governor Greg Abbott was supposed to throw out the ceremonial first pitch. But after Major League Baseball moved its All-Star game out of Georgia, he sent a letter saying, nope, no thanks. He also said Texas would no longer host any future special events for MLB. So speaking of the All-Star game, it will now be played right here in Denver at the Coors Field. How cool is that? Not far from where we are shooting. So, Tori, what do you think about Governor Abbott snubbing MLB and the game being in Denver?
First off, he's allowed to snub whoever he wants. That's fine. I just think it's funny when people complain about cancel culture.
Isn't it, Tori? You can snub whoever you want.
Yes. Yeah, good one there, Al. No, but what's interesting is, like, I think when we talk cancel culture, we're seeing more and more of this getting pettier and pettier. And at some point, Denver is going to see a huge rise in money from all the vendors, from all the people around, from everybody that, like, sells T-shirts. And Atlanta and Georgia is going to see a real loss, and that's where the whole hit the wallet thing. So it's going to make a difference, and I just hope people stop with the pettiness and allow companies to speak their mind. They're not incongruous big blobs of nothingness. They have something to say. Let them say it.
You want to throw out that first pitch, don't you?
I sure do.
Right here at Coors Field. Let's put it out there,
yeah,
everybody.
Let's have that happen.
Jeff to do it.
I do.
it, Jeff.
I want to get back there. Yeah. I had an opportunity last year, but something happened. It's called coronavirus. But anyways, I agree with Tori. Yesterday we were talking on the show, and everyone was worried about what MLB stood for, right? Guess who the winners are and the losers are, and then pulling out. The state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta are the losers. Major League Baseball is still going to put on their All-Star game. They're still going to make money, and now Colorado is going to take that income. I made that same point yesterday, and now who's a loser? Texas, because now they're getting political about MLB because they made a decision based on politics. It needs to be separated. I get people
it's not separated, though, because
but Major League people need to take a stance. But this is the effect. You're ruining your city, and you're losing income based on your political decisions.
I agree with you, but Major League Baseball also does contribute financially. A lot of them do, and a lot of those managers and owners, and a lot of them contribute financially to politics. So why wouldn't they be able to use their platform when they're already involved?
Because your city just lost $100 million. That's why, for your political view. Why don't you let
they're
baseball
going to lose
play
more money
baseball?
if Coca-Cola and other major corporations pull out of their cities. They're going to lose more money in the long run, in my opinion.
Okay, we'll see where this goes.
All right, good talk. So more sports, guys. We got more. NBA
Sam,
analysts.
did you anger the producers or something with all these sports stories?
I'm
love
excited about all these. I was a D1 athlete. Were you?
Oh, the horn.
Okay.
No, me and Tori both drank on that one. That was a zinger.
Analyst. Former Celtics player Paul Pierce is out of a job right now. It was all over this Instagram Live video he posted on Friday, showing him surrounded by scantily clad women. He was also smoking what appears to be a marijuana cigarette or a blunt, which we had to censor. Pierce previously worked at ESPN as part of their NBA Countdown pregame show since he retired from the sport in 2017. Pierce, who is married, seemed to address in his tweet saying, "I can't lose. Even when I lose, I'm winning." So the question is, what was he thinking, and was ESPN right for firing him, Jeff?
I mean, I feel like he wanted out. Why would you do this if you didn't think there was a chance of you getting fired? I mean, again, everything that we post on this or everything we show on the show, I'm always the old fuddy-duddy answer, right? There's something is called class. There's something is doing things in private. I'm not against what he's doing, right? I mean, I am personally, but I don't care what you do in your own home. You don't need to post that on social media. You don't need to show everybody what you're doing. And now you're challenging the network and your producers saying, this is what I do at home, and I'm going to post what I want. And now it's on you to agree with it or disagree.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. This had our my group chat with the homies on fire last night. I thought that this is pretty cut and dry, that this was not a great idea, but I got a lot of pushback from that.
How?
A lot of people are saying it's his right to do whatever he wants.
Not when you work
don't
for
judge.
a corporation.
That was my entire point. When you start
He's
getting
got a podcast, sure.
Yes, when you start getting checks signed from another corporation, you are beholden to them. And my example this morning, Sam, was like, you have a wonderful candle company, Byron & Co.
Thank you.
If you guys sign me to be to represent your company, and on Instagram I start using your candles in terms of devil pentagrams because I'm trying to push that.
I wouldn't be happy with
Yes,
that.
you would not want your product associated with a pentagram, and so you would pull that.
And
it's
also,
my right to make pentagrams. It's your right to not pay me to do that with your product. This is
Tori,
not
go
personal,
ahead.
Tori.
Yes, Tori, go ahead.
No, I completely agree with Al. It's a really weird and cultish example, and I'm totally into it. I also have to say ESPN is owned by Disney. We have to remember Disney owns ESPN, and their image is super important. And when you write an employer's contract and you write a moral clause, that can be really vague. And smoking a blunt might be legal in California, and the strippers might have been legal, but all of it isn't Disney's image, and that's what they care about most. So it's completely legal to say, yo, I think he wanted to go, and that's why he said he's winning. I think he got some like severance pay.
Really? So this was all orchestrated, you believe?
I don't think that smoking weed with strippers and playing poker is an orchestrated act.
He said, I'm winning.
He may. What else is he going to say? That was a terrible
Even
idea?
when I lose, I'm winning.
If he didn't want to lose the job, yes, I think he would have backpedaled and he would have apologized. I agree with Tori.
I think either you double down or you apologize, and he chose to double down.
You want to use that pentagram analogy again?
I do. I'm just saying this. We're joking around. Hold two thoughts in your head. It's not illegal to smoke weed or hang out with strippers. It's not illegal to get fired. Both parties win.
Sometimes it's illegal to get fired.
They're allowed to fire you.
Coming up on DBL, even more sports? What? Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers makes his guest hosting debut on Jeopardy. But did he do well enough to get the job permanently? Plus, Piers Morgan is not backing down from his criticism of Meghan Markle. In fact, he's going all in. And First Lady Jill Biden's style choice is making headlines. Why? And why do you think, and what do you think of her fishnet pattern tights? We're going to get into all that coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by
This so-called double mutant variant was first discovered in India. As you can guess, this variant contains 2 mutations to the coronavirus. The mutations have been seen before in different variants. One is similar to a so-called California variant. The other was found in variants discovered in Brazil and South Africa. The first case of this double mutant in the U.S. was diagnosed in a patient in the San Francisco area. So what does this mean? Experts are concerned that these mutations make the variant more contagious. That's because both help the virus latch onto cells. India first revealed its existence in March, and now cases are surging in the country. In one hard-hit Indian state, political leaders claim the new variant is not necessarily to blame, instead pointing fingers at large gatherings. More research is needed on this double mutant variant, but experts are hopeful the current vaccines will be effective against it. Despite the lack of hard data, they point to the fact that the vaccines work on these same mutations seen individually in other variants. But the emergence of these new variants of concern reinforces to health officials that widespread vaccinations are needed to stop the creation of new mutations.
Back to DBL. Check out all our coworkers at home during the pandemic, smiling, being all happy. We miss you. Keep up the great work, everyone. So no matter who is in the White House, there's a lot of pressure on the First Lady, especially when it comes to what they wear. And Dr. Jill Biden is no different. Twitter went crazy over these pictures of the 69-year-old First Lady who was photographed wearing a black skirt, booties, and a pair of fishnet pattern tights. Well, a lot of people did not like the look. One person tweeted, "Jill Biden is just too old to be wearing fishnets. It's gross." Another saying it's not just the fishnets, it's a whole mess. A mini skirt, all black, not too springy. The outfit is ugly for a woman of any age. But some disagreed, saying Dr. Jill Biden's tights were not fishnets. Also, they were quite cute and she rocked them. Tori, this is so uncomfortable even talking about. And we're talking about it here in DBL because you all are apparently talking about it. Why do people care so much about what women wear? And why does it have to be mutually exclusive if you're like intelligent, but then you can't dress a certain way, sexy?
And, you know, Sam, it's so funny. From the early show, I got a lot of comments from women. I said, please write me. Actually, I said write Al because he has a terrible idea about this. But I said, write me if you're over 65 and you feel like you can't dress sexy in societal norms. And I got a lot of responses. It's like suddenly when you hit 65, you can't wear leather. God forbid there's a pattern of triangles on your tights. My God. She wasn't acting as First Lady, in my opinion, in a real like state dinner way. She was off to somewhere using her airplane, which is hers as a private citizen in that respect. And I thought she rocked it. She works hard on that body. And I'd rather see that than a jacket that says, I don't really care, do you?
Tori, I'm so taken back. There were so many parts of your argument that were faulty. First of all, when you start talking about like any 65-year-old woman, I think anybody should be able to wear anything anytime they want. But you need to throw in the caveat, when you are the First Lady, and that is not her airplane, that is the people's airplane. And she is given that status. She is given her own plane with stairs that go down to the ground because she has a certain status, and we expect her to uphold certain things when she is in the public eye.
What?
Like when you were getting off US 1, period.
What is wrong with her outfit? Let's look at it. So what is not stately about this? And I just want to repeat that.
Stately?
What's wrong with that?
It's fine if you're on Miami Beach.
That's a Miami Beach outfit?
Yes, I lived there for 10 years. I'll tell you exactly what those outfits look like. Yes.
That's a Miami Beach outfit.
100, yeah, about
okay,
11
so
o'clock.
when Michelle Obama did not wear stockings, everybody was upset. When Melania wore certain outfits, everybody was upset. How come we don't see this with their male counterparts? How come we only
saw
see
this with Obama's
females?
taupe suit?
Not nearly. You cannot.
They talked about it on Fox News for 4 straight days.
You cannot compare the scrutiny that is applied to the females in the White House compared to the males. It is super sexist, not only ageist here, but sexist. Jeff?
Listen, I'm going to agree with Al on this one.
Of course you are.
Of course, because I don't know, maybe, I don't know, whatever it is. You're generalizing all women. This is the first lady of the United States, okay? She's at a certain age. She looks great to me, right? But if we're questioning whether she should wear that or not, if this was Melania, there would be memes all over. We had 10 memes of Donald Trump.
And I would defend Melania. And I would defend Melania.
Well, we haven't in the past, is what I'm saying.
I have about her outfits.
Okay, but I'm saying...
I do not care one, but I have about the other outfits.
But Al is saying we're losing all morals and standards here. Like, you could do whatever you want. Our last story, you could smoke weed and have strippers. It's okay. Do what you want. It's not okay. It's not okay to do that if you work for a network. It's not okay if you're the first lady of the United States. There's certain statuses that come with certain jobs or positions. And
but
just like the last with Paul Pierce,
right?
just like the first lady, we can't just people doing whatever they want because they want a certain freedom. You have to pick one or the other. You can't have both.
You're telling us the societal norm of what you won't take. Why is it based upon your opinion and not upon her opinion, which made she felt good about it?
I don't care what she wears, Tori. I think she looks great. But I'm saying in society, why do people always have to push this line? It's okay if I have hookers and I'm married and whatever. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm still going to keep my job with Disney.
I didn't think it was okay.
Is everyone crazy?
None of us thought it was okay.
If Biden got off the plane with like just something like somebody like Bob Marley smoking weed on a T-shirt.
You're comparing
and some Nike shorts. We would say the same thing.
That would not be the same thing.
That's not the same.
Absolutely, he would be glorifying drug paraphernalia, even if it is legal.
A Green Bay Packers helmet thing.
Albert.
Seriously.
Okay, so it's not like she walked off the plane in pasties. I feel like we're on a totally I can't with you, Al.
Well, now I have that visual and the segment's over. Thank you, Sam.
We'll be right back.
Verify exists to bring you the facts about the misinformation that's spreading on social media. A viewer sent us this Facebook post, which makes a couple claims about phone scams, like this. If you press *#90 or #09* while on the phone with another caller, they can, quote, access your SIM card, make calls at your expense, and frame you as a criminal. Sounds pretty out there, so let's verify if there's any truth to this. Our sources are the FCC and Kane McGladrey, a member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And they say that there's a grain of truth here, but that's all. The FCC has this warning on their website, that if someone calls your office phone and you dial these numbers, they could, quote, place calls that are billed to your office telephone number. That just means that they could transfer the call. But McGladrey told us that this only goes for office phones. Quote, this doesn't affect cell phones or residential landlines. So while it's true that this could make calls at your expense, the claim that they can access your SIM card is false. And as for the claim that they could frame you as a criminal, not so much. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. While the pandemic has turned a major corner thanks to the vaccines, we can't relax completely just yet. Dr. Payal Kohli joins us live. Hey, Doc. So we want to talk about the double mutant variant in California. What can you tell us about it?
So you guys, the vaccine was, the virus was getting smarter before, right? It was accumulating these mutations that were either making the spike protein stickier or they were helping it evade the antibody response. This double mutant is even smarter. It's essentially taken the superpowers from all the previous single mutants and accumulated them. So it's the first time that we're seeing two mutations in the same virus. And of course, we don't yet know how that impacts the behavior of this mutant, but it concerns us because it could make it not just more efficient to spread, but also more likely to evade our antibody response.
Wow.
Hey, Doc, so Dr. Fauci describes our current state as a race between the vaccines and the variants. Let's take a quick look.
Well, I think the best way for people to understand it, George, is that it really is somewhat of a race between the vaccine and the now essentially evolving more and more of these variants that we're seeing that have a greater capability of transmitting from person to person and likely even making it more serious disease.
So, Doc, my question for you is, are you concerned about another surge? We just talked about the baseball game in Texas, at full capacity, with the vaccine still rolling out. Is it safe or not safe?
So you know what I'm picturing, Jeff? I'm picturing you running away from a giant coronavirus cartoon, which is the variant, running towards the vaccine. And that's essentially what we're all doing. We're all trying to get to the vaccine before the virus catches us. And the vaccine has really helped the older people get there, but the younger people who are still unvaccinated are obviously spreading some of these variants, which is concerning. But another thing that the vaccine has done, which has been really interesting, is in a way it's blindfolded us. So we're not really able to see what our opponent is doing as well. Because remember, when you get vaccinated, you're a lot less likely to end up in the hospital. In fact, 100% less likely. You're a lot less likely to be symptomatic. So we may not even know if this surge is coming because it won't reflect in our hospitalizations or in our cases necessarily.
Wow. All right. Well, Doc, let's do this. The CDC has just revised its guidelines and is calling for an end to something called hygiene theater. Can you explain to me and our viewers what that is and why they want to end it?
Yeah, so let's talk about this because I actually am in disagreement with this term hygiene theater. But essentially what hygiene theater is the practice of, sanitizing all of our surfaces. And some people are saying, based on the new CDC guidelines, that it's not necessary. Because what the CDC is telling us is that there's less than a 1 in 10,000 chance that you'll catch an infection from a surface. But I really don't like this term because I think it's degrading a practice that's really going to help with influenza, help with rhinovirus, help with norovirus, all the other viruses out there. So even if it's not such a big player in COVID, I really want to see this practice continue. So Al, I expect you to wipe down your desk after you're done today.
I promise. You got my word. I like it. I like stuff being clean.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pyle. We love you. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
It's been widely reported that the Minneapolis Police Union is paying for Derek Chauvin's defense. The prosecution even brought it up in court.
The Police Federation, the union, is funding the defendant's defense.
But that's not exactly true. So let's verify.
Is the Minneapolis Police Union funding Chauvin's defense? Our sources, the Minneapolis Police Union and the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association. In a text, the president of the police union, known as the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis, tells me they are not paying for Chauvin's defense. The head of the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association tells me they're the ones footing the bill.
So what's the difference? Well, the MPPOA is a larger association that police unions all over Minnesota pay to be part of. The Minneapolis Police Union is a member. And since Derek Chauvin was on the force when the incident happened, he was a member too. Now, one of the benefits of that membership is a legal defense fund to represent officers if criminal charges come up after a critical incident.
Even though Chauvin was fired after George Floyd's death, the MPPOA's bylaws say he's entitled to that defense, since he was acting in the scope of his duties as a police officer. I spoke with Brian Peters, the head of the MPPOA. He tells me we can't pick and choose which cases we're going to defend or not defend. Eric Nelson, Chauvin's attorney, is one of the lawyers the MPPOA works with. How much it'll cost them, Peters doesn't know. They haven't gotten any bills, though he says their prior cases have run between $375,000 and $500,000. He says people are calling to donate, but they're not taking that money, though other organizations are helping Chauvin with other expenses.
So we can verify, no, the Minneapolis Police Union is not funding Derek Chauvin's defense. It's the larger Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association paying those legal fees. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and of course, be part of our DBL Nation. But if you're sticking around, here is what's coming up. A synchronized swimmer's inspiring story of success, how she showed the haters what she's really made of in our series, Strong Women Inside and Out. You do not want to miss this. Plus, British TV host Piers Morgan is at it again, coming for Meghan Markle, why he's not backing down even after losing his job. And of course, a big thank you to our co-workers who are watching from home right now as they work so diligently for us. DBL is new every day. We'll be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Al. Tori joins us from home. I was just commenting on Jeff's new suit jacket. You look very good.
Well, thank you,
Dapper.
Johnson and Murphy. And well, let me show you a little trick. See this? I don't have a pocket square. That's just the inside of my pocket.
Wait,
oh, that's smart.
Isn't it awesome?
Could have fooled me.
It came like that. I didn't even know.
But that's why it's a little wrinkly. You need to shape it.
Well, no, that would just be a.
Listen, you
that's called
ruined
a
the
puff.
trick.
Sorry.
You just pulled the
What are
curtain
you,
back.
a magician?
Kinda. Look at this.
Okay.
Now Bert's all mad because it's not.
Yeah.
There you go.
You do look dapper. You do look dapper.
All right.
All right.
And Al's got on.
Al's got on giraffe socks.
Which we'll show you later. Stay
Yeah, we will. Stay tuned for the giraffe socks.
I dig them.
Okay, let's get right to it, shall we? So Khloe Kardashian wants an unfiltered photo of her removed from the internet. Khloe is upset that this photo of her in a bikini by a pool was posted online and then began circulating all over. According to Page 6, the photo was taken over the weekend and was posted without her permission. So here's a look at that photo, okay? Next to one that Khloe posted on her Instagram. The Kardashians are reportedly threatening legal action to have the pic removed from websites. Now, in the past, Khloe has been accused of posting heavily edited and photoshopped pictures of her face and body on social media. Some people have even accused her of having work done because she looks so different. Tori, what do you make of this?
I mean, We all know Khloe Kardashian is filtered and has had a lot of work done. I don't even recognize Khloe Kardashian anymore. Every time I see an Instagram, I think it's Kendall Jenner. I mean, her face is transformed, but that's her a business, you know, like that's okay. And I think when you're that famous, I don't know how you guys feel, but your image is almost so important. It can change a brand in like a middle of a tweet. I feel like she should have some control over her image, but I do understand that she also doesn't really have a right to ask some private person to take down the photo. But I get where she's coming from, and that comes from someone with insecurity about body issues.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No. I was just going to say, I mean, we focus on the Kardashians, and a lot of people put their anger towards the Kardashians. It's not like every single person on Instagram isn't filtering themselves, right? Everybody's doing this. She should have rolled with the punches on this one, in my opinion. To each their own.
Embraced it.
Yeah, I think exactly. To each their own. That is their image. That is how they make their money. But if she just sort of rolled with the punches, be like, that's what I look like. This is me, natural. Of course, I filter my photos just like all of you guys out there. It would have came off a little better. Now that she's wanting to sue everybody, now she's getting the criticism. But I don't blame her for filtering the photos.
It's their business. It's literally their business. And I feel like, Jeff, I understand what you're saying. That's what you have to juggle in your head. Do we just kind of roll with this and let it go? Or do we fight it? Because if she decides to roll with it and then she posts a picture that looks like the other one, the one that had obviously been touched up, if now they're memes with the side by side and they're like, which one's really you? And now this is the thing that happens with all her pictures. It's affecting her brand and her business. So I think anybody.
I hate that it affects the brand, though. I'm with Jeff. I wish she would have embraced it because there's so many. Listen, we're all guilty of it. So I'm with you. I just know that there's so many young individuals that look to the Kardashians, look to all the different people on Instagram. And even though they understand and they know that filters are in play, it does affect your mental state and how you view your body. It's so unrealistic. It's so so there's a whole nother discussion that we could get into on this one, but it's her brand. I just wish that we were in a different place where a brand didn't equate to perfect body. And that's just unfortunate. It's totally unrealistic. Nobody has the perfect body. Everybody has stretch marks. Everybody has cellulite. Apparently, Al does not. Okay, I'll give you some of mine.
There's perfection right there.
No, I said when you said perfect body. That was.
I know you raised your hand that you have a perfect body.
I do.
You do. Okay, so Piers Morgan is tripling down on his war against Meghan Markle and cancel culture. He recently spoke to Tucker Carlson in his first TV interview since leaving his job at Good Morning Britain. He said he should have the right to question whether Meghan Markle was telling the truth in her interview with Oprah last month without being branded a racist. Take a look.
I was under attack from Miss Markle, both directly to my boss and to the government regulatory body, under attack to basically conform to her version of events. And I had to believe her. And if I didn't, I was a callous racist and I should be condemned and ultimately, as it turned out later that day, lose my job. I should be allowed, in a democracy that values freedom of speech, I should be allowed to say, I'm sorry, I don't believe you.
What do you make of this, Al?
From what I remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, this wasn't so much about Meghan Markle. This was about his comments about suicide and the fact that the channel that he worked for had a huge campaign going because they had lost an anchor to suicide. So I feel like suicide is not Tucker Carlson's lane. His lane is cancel culture, free speech. I should be able to say whatever I want. So I feel like, again, and Jeff, I've talked to you before about this. I never let anybody set the narrative for what I'm going to discuss. And they're trying to set the narrative like this is about Meghan Markle. He got fired, as far as I know, for his comments on suicide and because it went against the entire network's stance because they had lost an anchor to suicide. So this seems like the garnish on the steak dinner.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. And it's a network's choice. They could do whatever they want. It goes back to the network again. I don't mean to keep bringing up Paul Piers, but it goes back to the network, right? You're working for a network. Piers was working for a network. I'm not pulling a Sharon Osbourne here, but I agree with Piers in the sense that you could say whatever you want. You do have to deal with those consequences, but you should be allowed to say whatever you want. We live in a society now where people automatically put labels on you to silence you. I believe this. Well, that's because you're homophobic. I believe this. That's because you're racist. Well, I think this. That's because you're sexist. All those labels are meant to shut you down and not speak. You agree with my side 100%, or I'm going to put a label on you and silence you. I don't like the silencing. I don't like what Piers said necessarily, but he should have the right to say it.
Tori?
I don't always, first off, I was going to say the same thing. He has a right to say it. He just has to deal with the consequences. But when Jeff says, you put a label on me and you shut me up and you silence me, sometimes I feel like those labels actually are holding someone accountable. And sometimes I feel like we've gotten too close to being like, it's cancel culture, don't do this, you're shutting me up. Sometimes it's just like, yo, you've crossed a line that makes me uncomfortable, and that's a boundary I'm not willing to just let go anymore. So I feel like it's in between. Piers Morgan obviously went way overboard, and he saw those consequences, but not a label isn't always somebody to shut you down. Sometimes it's to educate you.
No, it's not. Here, I'm going to push back, Tori, in this sense. We just throw around these words like white supremacists. If you say something little off-colored, you're labeled a white supremacist as opposed to Hitler and what a white supremacist really is. You can't just throw these words around and everyone just jump on board and think it's okay. You're making it okay. I'm saying that's part of the problem.
And I hear you, but I don't think everyone's throwing around white supremacy as much as you're hearing.
I think they are. Male toxicity,
defensive.
racist, homophobic, all these words, when you compare them to what those words really mean, we're throwing them around way too often.
And I think they're finally being allowed to see the light of the day. And I hear what you're saying, but I think both can be true.
I don't.
And I would just say, final thought on that. I think that both parties, Jeff, you're saying these labels are being thrown around. Tori, you're saying that they're being thrown around the appropriate amount of time. Don't forget that the public ultimately decides. If somebody called Sam Shocker a white supremacist, there would be no. But Sam, my point is, there would be no traction for that.
Great.
There wouldn't be hundreds of thousands of people retweeting that because it's not true.
Exactly.
So when things are true, they will get traction. When they are not, they will not, and they will just go away. The public does decide ultimately.
Okay. All right. Let's get to this next story. Aaron Rodgers made his hosting debut on Jeopardy last night and ended up getting trolled by a contestant. Have a look.
Scott, did you come up with the correct response? Who wanted to kick that field goal? That is a great question. Should be correct, but unfortunately for this game today, that's incorrect.
The contestant was poking fun at the Green Bay Packers' decision not to go for a touchdown, instead kick a field goal during their NFC Championship game against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, but let's get back to Aaron Rodgers as Jeopardy host. I felt like he needed like a Red Bull. And maybe that's because I naturally have a lot of energy, and I usually have to suppress my energy. I usually have to like take a few breaths before I speak because I'm go, go, go. But homeboy was like a sloth.
Boring.
But listen, I'm going to defend him in this. I didn't know Aaron Rodgers even had this in him.
He's so smart.
And he won Celebrity Jeopardy as a contestant. I didn't know he had this in him. Like just watching football all those years, I know him from as a quarterback, right? I didn't know he had this kind of demeanor. But like Alex Trebek said, it's not about him. It's about the contestants.
But he made it about him because I was so listening to his slow, chill delivery that I didn't think about anything but his slow, chill delivery.
And I thought in that moment, the way he answered that and responded to that contestant was great. You know, I didn't know he had that in him. He laughed, he chuckled it off, he made a joke. I thought he did a good job.
And can I just say this? And Lord knows I don't want to ever do this. If we rolled back to season 1, episode 1, 2, or 3 of DBL, it would be a much different show. He is coming from a different world.
What?
Yeah.
Tori was fantastic.
Yeah, it takes a while to get, as they call, your sea legs.
Yes.
And he's a person that loves Jeopardy. He really is a savant. Like, I think he is on almost a genius level. And I think he's got some cachet. Give him a chance.
Yeah, okay. I'll give him a chance.
Okay, hold on. Really quick, I just want to bring up that a lot of fans have asked for LeVar Burton, who is the host of Reading Rainbow, to host it. And there's a petition out. And a lot of people say he has a little more charisma, as Sam was saying, and he'd be a really great host. So take a look at that petition if you're interested.
I dig it. I really do. Thank you, Tori. So there are rumors that Chris Hemsworth and Russell Crowe might be teaming up for Gladiator 2. The actors were spotted hanging out in Sydney last month with Chris's wife. So according to the Australian website New Idea, the pair are in talks to co-produce the sequel with Chris starring as Russell's son. Meanwhile, Chris recently told The Telegraph that he is not taken seriously in Hollywood because of his buff physique. Chris posts his workout videos on Instagram and has to stay in shape for his role as Thor in the Avengers movies. He said he would only be regarded as, quote, a serious actor if he put on a bunch of unhealthy weight or got really skinny for a role. He's right, unfortunately. People know you don't agree.
I'm trying to think. Are there any super buff actors that are kind of that play serious roles?
No.
Well, be appreciative of what you have instead of what you don't have. Okay, he's worth $100 million, or $130 million for playing this role. So I wouldn't just snuff my nose, whatever the word is. I can't even think.
Your nose.
What do you do at it?
Don't ask me.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
snub your nose.
Snub my nose.
Snub your nose.
I had fluff.
Anyways, I want to go back to the Gladiator. That's my favorite movie in the whole world, the Gladiator. So I'm glad this is coming back, but I'm a little confused because his son got killed in the first one. But I would love to see a Gladiator too. Back to snuffing my nose. You know, if he was skinny, he'd say, I can't get the buff roles. I can't be a superhero. So everyone's always complaining. I want to hear, you know what, I'm super happy for what I have in life. And if you really want it, let that rope go, let yourself go, and try to go be a good actor. But now you're taking the risk of not getting those roles.
Or you just keep showing up as a buff actor, going after those roles, and eventually, if you're good enough, you will get it.
I just remembered. You asked a question earlier. I'm sorry, and I'll answer it after you finish.
No, I'm done now.
Sorry, a light bulb literally just went off on my head.
I felt it.
So remember, you remember the wrestler?
Yes.
Okay, remember Mickey Rourke? Buff.
Yeah.
Nominated for an actor that year.
But he was playing an aging wrestler.
An Oscar that year. So what? You said that there was no buff actors that ever were taken seriously. I just gave.
I didn't say that there are no retired wrestling actors, which is what he played. I'm talking about somebody that is jacked with an 8-pack like that guy is. You don't see those roles in like.
You're backpedaling.
No, I'm saying you don't see guys like that in independent films about a love story.
You said, are there any buff actors that were taken seriously? I just gave you one.
He's formerly buff. He was not buff in that movie. Stop.
Why are you shaking your head?
Oh, because someone said something in my ear and I was just agreeing with them off camera.
Oh, I thought you were agreeing with me.
Oh, I was, totally.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was.
Someone said Hugh Jackman. That's what they said in my ear and I shook my head.
Oh, yeah.
But he's a small guy, though.
How about Mark
What's
Wahlberg?
the Christian Bale one?
Mark Wahlberg.
And the Christian Bale one.
Christian Bale was more
We're talking
ripped.
about big guys like The Rock.
Yeah, he was more ripped, not buff.
Matthew McConaughey was buff, and then he lost that weight.
Zac Efron is
and then
ripped.
he won an Oscar in Dallas Buyers Club.
When was Matthew McConaughey buff?
I don't think.
What? He's always buff.
I don't think Chris Hemsworth's a good actor.
Chris Hemsworth are not in the same league.
There's a difference between being like built and then buff.
That's a good point.
Yes.
I don't know why you had to change your voice.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got it.
I'm so done. Someone else read the rest of the prompter.
Coming up on DBL, a synchronized swimmer tells us about overcoming hardship and bullying and why you should never be afraid to make waves. Next in our series, Strong Women, Inside and Out. And check out our co-workers from home. There they are, looking good, kids. You guys keep smiling. You guys are going to be back in the studio sooner than you know. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
This so-called double mutant variant was first discovered in India. As you can guess, this variant contains 2 mutations to the coronavirus. The mutations have been seen before in different variants. One is similar to a so-called California variant. The other was found in variants discovered in Brazil and South Africa. The first case of this double mutant in the U.S. was diagnosed in a patient in the San Francisco area. So what does this mean? Experts are concerned that these mutations make the variant more contagious. That's because both help the virus latch onto cells. India first revealed its existence in March, and now cases are surging in the country. In one hard-hit Indian state, political leaders claim the new variant is not necessarily to blame, instead pointing fingers at large gatherings. More research is needed on this double mutant variant, but experts are hopeful that current vaccines will be effective against it. Despite the lack of hard data, they point to the fact that the vaccines work on these same mutations seen individually in other variants. But the emergence of these new variants of concern reinforces to health officials that widespread vaccinations are needed to stop the creation of new mutations.
Welcome back to DBL. Moving far away from your hometown can make anyone feel like a fish out of water. But today, our featured strong woman shows us that even when you're the outsider, it's okay to make some waves. Check it out.
My name is Christina Marcuschenko, and originally I'm from Moscow. I did artistic swimming for a little bit over 13 years, and I achieved the level of 4-time world champion and 2 times European champion in synchronized swimming. So I'm an artist, and I always had that ever since I was a baby. So I think that's why synchronized swimming matched me so well. I feel like I own this pool. I want to show up, and it's like, it's like a show under water. During my sport career, I went through a lot of hard things. At the age 11, that's when I started getting better in synchronized swimming. And that's when I, for the first time, started feeling a little bit being bullied. When I was bullied, I never understood what I was doing wrong. And am I the bad one or they're the bad ones? And then my family had to move to Miami, and obviously I had to move with them. I felt here that I was a little bit like a stranger, Everyone would ask me, I have an accent where I'm from. So I really try to not listen what other people tell me or what they will think. I try to do what I really think so and what I think is right. After the pandemic started, obviously, everything shut down. And I started doing videos just for fun, just for myself, because TikTok was trending at that time. And honestly, it was just a usual day. I just posted on my TikTok in the evening, I remember. And then in 30 minutes, I got my first million views. I was like, what? I memorized the beat a couple times before I got underwater and just played in my head. I'm trying to make a real art, which I think people will love it. The sport itself really helped me to grow as a person. I'm thankful for who I am. And I really don't care right now what people will tell me, if I will do those silly dances. Sometimes I get the, comments, why do I do that? I do what I want. I do what I love. My advice will be, don't really do what people tell you. Do what you think is right.
Wow, how incredible is she? We'll be right back.
We all...
Verify exists to bring you the facts about the misinformation that's spreading on social media. A viewer sent us this Facebook post, which makes a couple claims about phone scams, like this. If you press *#90 or #09* while on the phone with another caller, they can, quote, access your SIM card, make calls at your expense, and frame you as a criminal. Sounds pretty out there, so let's verify if there's any truth to this. Our sources are the FCC and Kane McGladrey, a member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And they say that there's a grain of truth here, but that's all. The FCC has this warning on their website, that if someone calls your office phone and you dial these numbers, they could, quote, place calls that are billed to your office telephone number. That just means that they could transfer the call. But McGladrey told us that this only goes for office phones. Quote, this doesn't affect cell phones or residential landlines. So while it's true that this could make calls at your expense, the claim that they can access your SIM card is false. And as for the claim that they could frame you as a criminal, not so much. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. We are helping you save money on insurance. Did you know a few simple lifestyle changes can influence your premium? We're chatting about it in today's Bang for Your Buck, presented by The Hartford. First, exercising can make a big difference. Just a few pounds can lower your premium. Second, quit smoking. That will save you big bucks and have a huge impact in the eyes of an insurance underwriter. Lastly, improving your driving record can also save you cash. Once you've made a few changes, check back with an insurer for the best quote possible. We've made it easy when it comes to quality and affordable insurance. The Buck's got your back. The Hartford will be happy to provide you solutions. So call the Hartford at 1-800-684-6085 or visit thehartford.com to learn more. Makes sense.
Yeah, they say not moving and not exercising is the new smoking. They say that's even worse.
Who says that?
That's just around.
Doctors just
floating around?
No, it's
honestly,
real.
Being
It's real,
sedentary.
yeah.
That's why like the QB and certain things are so good to just keep your legs moving, keep your body going. I know a lot of people. I know my agent. He just has
my gosh.
He has a desk and he's got a treadmill on it. He just walks like really slowly and he does his work. Just got to keep moving.
Wow.
How Hollywood is he?
I know.
You guys don't have agents? Thank you.
My publicist has brown hair.
Yeah, my manager called.
What do you say? Stop attacking Al?
No.
Be nicer to Al.
He said Hollywood called. They don't want you back.
I think
Wow. She's giving you the stones today,
Sam
buddy.
has really been coming at me today. We're going to have a meeting right after the show.
Oh.
Right in that empty conference room, me and you.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
It's been widely reported that the Minneapolis Police Union is paying for Derek Chauvin's defense. The prosecution even brought it up in court.
The Police Federation, the union, is funding the defendant's defense.
But that's not exactly true. So let's verify.
Is the Minneapolis Police Union funding Chauvin's defense? Our sources, the Minneapolis Police Union and the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association. In a text, the president of the police union, known as the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis, tells me they are not paying for Chauvin's defense. The head of the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association tells me they're the ones footing the bill.
So what's the difference? Well, the MPPOA is a larger association that police unions all over Minnesota pay to be part of. The Minneapolis Police Union is a member. And since Derek Chauvin was on the force when the incident happened, he was a member too. Now, one of the benefits of that membership is a legal defense fund to represent officers if criminal charges come up after a critical incident.
Even though Chauvin was fired after George Floyd's death, the MPPOA's bylaws say he's entitled to that defense, since he was acting in the scope of his duties as a police officer. I spoke with Brian Peters, the head of the MPPOA. He tells me we can't pick and choose which cases we're going to defend or not defend. Eric Nelson, Chauvin's attorney, is one of the lawyers the MPPOA works with. How much it'll cost them, Peters doesn't know. They haven't gotten any bills, though he says their prior cases have run between $375,000 and $500,000. He says people are calling to donate, but they're not taking that money, though other organizations are helping Chauvin with other expenses.
So we can verify, no, the Minneapolis Police Union is not funding Derek Chauvin's defense. It's the larger Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association paying those legal fees. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Tomorrow on DBL, everyone's favorite shark businessman and reality star Kevin O'Leary is joining us live and helping you make money. And in an all-new True Crime Chronicles, the bone-chilling podcast that reveals the murders hiding in plain sight. That's tomorrow right here on DBL.
You do not want to miss it. We're getting a lot of comments about you being the moderator. People love it. Okay, so we got sensitivity training saying, Sam, I hate to say this, but Al just proved you can be replaced. Hey, I'm Al's biggest fan. I say that you host the show one day.
Trending one day.
Okay.
I don't trust the serious stories.
Let's do it.
One day we'll do it.
Can we,
soon.
our executive producers, okay, so they're giving us the go-ahead. Al, we already saw, knocked it out of the park. He'll put his own stamp on it.
Watch out, Sam. I might be like Tom Brady. You bring me in for one play, the next thing you know, 10 rings.
We can take the risk. A quick goodbye to our co-workers who tuned in. We'll see you guys later. So DBL is new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.
Talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Nearly 40,000 fans packed the Texas Rangers home opener, marking one of the first full-capacity sporting events in a year. Is gathering like this just too risky right now? ESPN fires a former NBA legend after a wild Instagram live featuring exotic dancers. Did he deserve to get canned? First Lady Jill Biden rocks a pair of fishnet patterned tights, but why do so many people have a problem with her outfit? And our Strong Women series continues with a synchronized swimmer who's gone viral for her underwater dance moves.
I do what I want, I do what I love.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Tuesday, April 6th. I am Sam here with Jeff and Al. Tori joins us from home. So believe it or not, we've got some sports-related stories today. But if you're not into sports, don't worry. There's a lot more going on here, okay? So stay with us. First, did you see last night's Texas Rangers home opener in Arlington, Texas? Look at that. The game was played in front of a max capacity crowd. That's around 40,000 people. Now, I want you to take a closer look because you can see some people, yes, wearing masks. But then again, many others are not. Plus, with everyone packed together, it was impossible to maintain social distancing. So we all knew it was going to happen at some point, the first sold-out sporting event since the start of the pandemic. But what do you think, DBL Nation? We want to hear from you. Too soon? Jeff, what do you make of this?
I don't know. You know, like, we're going to have to start getting back to some sort of normal at some point. For me, we're almost at that, since we're talking sports, the goal line, right? We're almost there. And I think we just need to wait a little bit longer. I get that people are vaccinated now. I get that we know that ultraviolet rays in the sun help kill the spread of the COVID vaccine. So being outside in general. All that being said, it's still a little too soon. I wouldn't go to a full capacity sporting event or concert myself, and I still would wear a mask.
If you want to keep up with the sports lingo, I'll say huge penalty here. You like that?
Oh, there you go.
Huge penalty.
Yellow card?
40,000 or a yellow card, whatever you want to say. Red card, I'd say.
Oh, that harsh?
Yes, that harsh.
Okay.
40,000 people. Hospitalizations right now in America are on the rise. I just left a hospital visiting my brother-in-law, and literally that whole ICU is filled with COVID patients. So nurses are already exhausted. Doctors are already exhausted. There's another 2 new variants. Why would we chance this out? Why? When we're almost to the goal line.
Because I don't think people have anything left, Sam. I think for us,
their lives.
Yes, their lives. I'm saying from their perspective. I think for certain people like myself, I'm kind of like, for as much as I'm a comic and a host, I'm an introvert. I love to stay at home and I can write for hours. I love being alone. But some people, like our own Lindsey Granger, love to connect.
You
love
can
to
connect
be with
without
people.
Going to a 40,000 person packed stadium.
Agree. But I just don't know if everybody has the same stamina as you do, fortunately or unfortunately. And I look at this as overall probably more of a negative than a positive. But at least we will now have some kind of control group to see if there is spread from this event and get more data.
Oh, man.
That's the only way you can look at it. You know, it happens.
Don't look at it that way at all. It's really upsetting. Okay, Tori, we got more sports talk for you, girl. We're not done with sports yet. Okay, so Texas Governor Greg Abbott was supposed to throw out the ceremonial first pitch. But after Major League Baseball moved its All-Star game out of Georgia, he sent a letter saying, nope, no thanks. He also said Texas would no longer host any future special events for MLB. So speaking of the All-Star game, it will now be played right here in Denver at the Coors Field. How cool is that? Not far from where we are shooting. So, Tori, what do you think about Governor Abbott snubbing MLB and the game being in Denver?
First off, he's allowed to snub whoever he wants. That's fine. I just think it's funny when people complain about cancel culture.
Isn't it, Tori? You can snub whoever you want.
Yes. Yeah, good one there, Al. No, but what's interesting is, like, I think when we talk cancel culture, we're seeing more and more of this getting pettier and pettier. And at some point, Denver is going to see a huge rise in money from all the vendors, from all the people around, from everybody that, like, sells T-shirts. And Atlanta and Georgia is going to see a real loss, and that's where the whole hit the wallet thing. So it's going to make a difference, and I just hope people stop with the pettiness and allow companies to speak their mind. They're not incongruous big blobs of nothingness. They have something to say. Let them say it.
You want to throw out that first pitch, don't you?
I sure do.
Right here at Coors Field. Let's put it out there,
yeah,
everybody.
Let's have that happen.
Jeff to do it.
I do.
it, Jeff.
I want to get back there. Yeah. I had an opportunity last year, but something happened. It's called coronavirus. But anyways, I agree with Tori. Yesterday we were talking on the show, and everyone was worried about what MLB stood for, right? Guess who the winners are and the losers are, and then pulling out. The state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta are the losers. Major League Baseball is still going to put on their All-Star game. They're still going to make money, and now Colorado is going to take that income. I made that same point yesterday, and now who's a loser? Texas, because now they're getting political about MLB because they made a decision based on politics. It needs to be separated. I get people.
It's not separated though, because
people need to take a stance. But this is the effect. You're ruining your city and you're losing income based on your political decisions.
I agree with you, but Major League Baseball also does contribute financially. A lot of them do, and a lot of those managers and owners, and a lot of them contribute financially to politics. So why wouldn't they be able to use their platform when they're already involved?
Because your city just lost $100 million. That's why, for your political view. Why don't you let
they're
baseball
going to lose
play
more money
baseball?
if Coca-Cola and other major corporations pull out of their cities. They're going to lose more money in the long run, in my opinion.
Okay, we'll see where this goes.
All right, good talk. So more sports, guys. We got more. NBA
Sam,
analysts.
did you anger the producers or something with all these sports stories? I
I'm
love
excited about all these. I was a D1 athlete. Were you?
Oh, the horn.
Okay.
No, that was, me and Tori both drank on that one. That was a zinger.
Analyst. Former Celtics player Paul Pierce is out of a job right now. It was all over this Instagram Live video he posted on Friday, showing him surrounded by scantily clad women. He was also smoking what appears to be a marijuana cigarette or a blunt, which we had to censor. Pierce previously worked at ESPN as part of their NBA Countdown pregame show since he retired from the sport in 2017. Pierce, who is married, seemed to address in his tweet saying, "I can't lose. Even when I lose, I'm winning." So the question is, what was he thinking, and was ESPN right for firing him, Jeff?
I mean, I feel like he wanted out. Why would you do this if you didn't think there was a chance of you getting fired? I mean, again, everything that we post on this or everything we show on the show, I'm always the old fuddy-duddy answer, right? There's something is called class. There's something is doing things in private. I'm not against what he's doing, right? I mean, I am personally, but I don't care what you do in your own home. You don't need to post that on social media. You don't need to show everybody what you're doing. And now you're challenging the network and your producers saying, this is what I do at home, and I'm going to post what I want. And now it's on you to agree with it or disagree.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. This had my group chat with the homies on fire last night. I thought that this is pretty cut and dry, that this was not a great idea, but I got a lot of pushback from that.
How?
A lot of people are saying it's his right to do whatever he wants.
Not when you work for a corporation.
That was my entire point. When you start
He's
getting,
got a podcast, sure.
Yes, when you start getting checks signed from another corporation, you are beholden to them. And my example this morning, Sam, was like, you have a wonderful candle company, Byron & Co.
Thank you.
If you guys sign me to be to represent your company, and on Instagram I start using your candles in terms of devil pentagrams because I'm trying to push that.
I wouldn't be happy with that.
Yes, you would not want your product associated with a pentagram, and so you would pull that.
And
it's
also,
my right to make pentagrams. It's your right to not pay me to do that with your product. This is
Tori,
not
go
personal,
ahead.
Tori.
Yes, Tori, go ahead.
No, I completely agree with Al. It's a really weird and cultish example, and I'm totally into it. I also have to say ESPN is owned by Disney. We have to remember, Disney owns ESPN, and their image is super important. And when you write an employer's contract and you write a moral clause, that can be really vague. And smoking a blunt might be legal in California, and the strippers might have been legal, but all of it isn't Disney's image, and that's what they care about most. So it's completely legal to say, yo, I think he wanted to go, and that's why he said he's winning. I think he got some like severance pay.
Really? So this was all orchestrated, you believe?
I don't think that smoking weed with strippers and playing poker is an orchestrated act.
He said, I'm winning.
He may. What else is he going to say? That was a terrible
Even
idea?
when I lose, I'm winning.
If he didn't want to lose the job, yes, I think he would have backpedaled and he would have apologized. I agree with
think
Tori.
either you double down or you apologize, and he chose to double down.
You want to use that pentagram analogy again?
I do. I'm just saying this. We're joking around. Hold two thoughts in your head. It's not illegal to smoke weed or hang out with strippers. It's not illegal to get fired. Both parties win.
Sometimes it's illegal to get fired.
They are allowed to fire you.
Coming up on DBL, even more sports? What? Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers makes his guest hosting debut on Jeopardy. But did he do well enough to get the job permanently? Plus, Piers Morgan is not backing down from his criticism of Meghan Markle. In fact, he's going all in. And First Lady Jill Biden's style choice is making headlines. Why? And why do you think, and what do you think of her fishnet pattern tights? We're going to get into all that coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by
This so-called double mutant variant was first discovered in India. As you can guess, this variant contains 2 mutations to the coronavirus. The mutations have been seen before in different variants. One is similar to a so-called California variant. The other was found in variants discovered in Brazil and South Africa. The first case of this double mutant in the U.S. was diagnosed in a patient in the San Francisco area. So what does this mean? Experts are concerned that these mutations make the variant more contagious. That's because both help the virus latch onto cells. India first revealed its existence in March, and now cases are surging in the country. In one hard-hit Indian state, political leaders claim the new variant is not necessarily to blame, instead pointing fingers at large gatherings. More research is needed on this double mutant variant, but experts are hopeful the current vaccines will be effective against it. Despite the lack of hard data, they point to the fact that the vaccines work on these same mutations seen individually in other variants. But the emergence of these new variants of concern reinforces to health officials that widespread vaccinations are needed to stop the creation of new mutations.
Welcome back to DBL. Check out all our coworkers at home during the pandemic, smiling, being all happy. We miss you. Keep up the great work, everyone. So no matter who is in the White House, there's a lot of pressure on the First Lady, especially when it comes to what they wear. And Dr. Jill Biden is no different. Twitter went crazy over these pictures of the 69-year-old First Lady who was photographed wearing a black skirt, booties, and a pair of fishnet pattern tights. Well, a lot of people did not like the look. One person tweeted, "Jill Biden is just too old to be wearing fishnets. It's gross." Another saying it's not just the fishnets, it's a whole mess. A mini skirt, all black, not too springy. The outfit is ugly for a woman of any age. But some disagreed, saying Dr. Jill Biden's tights were not fishnets. Also, they were quite cute and she rocked them. Tori, this is so uncomfortable even talking about. And we're talking about it here in DBL because you all are apparently talking about it. Why do people care so much about what women wear? And why does it have to be mutually exclusive if you're like intelligent, but then you can't dress a certain way, sexy?
And, you know, Sam, it's so funny. From the early show, I got a lot of comments from women. I said, please write me. Actually, I said write Al because he has a terrible idea about this. But I said, write me if you're over 65 and you feel like you can't dress sexy in societal norms. And I got a lot of responses. It's like suddenly when you hit 65, you can't wear leather. God forbid there's a pattern of triangles on your tights. My God. She wasn't acting as First Lady, in my opinion, in a real like state dinner way. She was off to somewhere using her airplane, which is hers as a private citizen in that respect. And I thought she rocked it. She worked hard on that body. And I'd rather see that than a jacket that says, I don't really care, do you?
Tori, I'm so taken back. There were so many parts of your argument that were faulty. First of all, when you start talking about like any 65-year-old woman, I think anybody should be able to wear anything anytime they want. But you need to throw in the caveat, when you are the First Lady, and that is not her airplane, that is the people's airplane. And she is given that status. She is given her own plane with stairs that go down to the ground because she has a certain status, and we expect her to uphold certain things when she is in the public eye.
What?
Like when you were getting off US 1, period.
What is wrong with her outfit? Let's look at it. So what is not stately about this? And I just want to repeat that.
Stately?
What's wrong with that?
It's fine if you're on Miami Beach.
That's a Miami Beach outfit?
Yes, I lived there for 10 years. I'll tell you exactly what those outfits look like. Yes.
That's a Miami Beach outfit.
100, yeah, about
okay,
11
so when
o'clock.
Michelle Obama did not wear stockings, everybody was upset. When Melania wore certain outfits, everybody was upset. How come we don't see this with their male counterparts? How come we only see this with
Obama's
females?
taupe suit.
Not nearly. You cannot.
They talked about it on Fox News for 4 straight days.
You cannot compare the scrutiny that is applied to the females in the White House compared to the males. It is super sexist, not only ageist here, but sexist. Jeff?
Listen, I'm going to agree with Al on this one.
Of course you are.
Of course, because I don't know, maybe, I don't know, whatever it is. You're generalizing all women. This is the First Lady of the United States, okay? She's at a certain age. She looks great to me, right? But if we're questioning whether she should wear that or not, if this was Melania, there'd be memes all over. We had 10 memes of Donald Trump.
And I would defend Melania. Melania.
Well, we haven't in the past, is what I'm saying.
I have about her outfits.
Okay, but I'm saying...
I do not care one, but I have about the other outfits.
But Al is saying we're losing all morals and standards here. Like, you could do whatever you want. Our last story, you could smoke weed and have strippers. It's okay. Do what you want. It's not okay. It's not okay to do that if you work for a network. It's not okay if you're the First Lady of the United States. There's certain statuses that come with certain jobs or positions. And just like the last with Paul Pierce, just like the First Lady. We can't just people doing whatever they want because they want a certain freedom. You have to pick one or the other. You can't have both.
You're telling us the societal norm of what you won't take. Why is it based upon your opinion and not upon her opinion, which made she felt good about it?
I don't care what she wears, Tori. I think she looks great. But I'm saying in society, why do people always have to push this line? It's okay if I have hookers and I'm married and whatever. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm still going to keep my job with Disney.
I didn't think it was okay.
Is everyone crazy?
None of us thought it was okay.
If Biden got off the plane with like just something like somebody like Bob Marley smoking weed on a T-shirt,
you're comparing
and some Nike shorts, we would say the same thing.
That would not be the same thing.
That's not the same.
Absolutely, he would be glorifying drug paraphernalia, even if it is legal.
A Green Bay Packers helmet thing.
Albert.
Seriously.
Okay, so it's not like she walked off the plane in pasties. I feel like we're on a totally I can't with you, Al.
Well, now I have that visual and the segment's over. Thank you, Sam.
We'll be right back.
How's she doing?
Verify exists to bring you the facts about the misinformation that's spreading on social media. A viewer sent us this Facebook post, which makes a couple claims about phone scams, like this. If you press *#90 or #09* while on the phone with another caller, they can, quote, access your SIM card, make calls at your expense, and frame you as a criminal. Sounds pretty out there. So let's verify if there's any truth to this. Our sources are the FCC and Kane McGladrey, a member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And they say that there's a grain of truth here, but that's all. The FCC has this warning on their website, that if someone calls your office phone and you dial these numbers, they could, quote, place calls that are billed to your office telephone number. That just means that they could transfer the call. But McGladrey told us that this only goes for office phones. Quote, this doesn't affect cell phones or residential landlines. So while it's true that this could make calls at your expense, the claim that they can access your SIM card is false. And as for the claim that they could frame you as a criminal, not so much. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. While the pandemic has turned a major corner thanks to the vaccines, we can't relax completely just yet. Dr. Payal Kohli joins us live. Hey, Doc. So we want to talk about the double mutant variant in California. What can you tell us about it?
So you guys, the vaccine was, the virus was getting smarter before, right? It was accumulating these mutations that were either making the spike protein stickier or they were helping it evade the antibody response. This double mutant is even smarter. It's essentially taken the superpowers from all the previous single mutants and accumulated them. So it's the first time that we're seeing two mutations in the same virus. And of course, we don't yet know how that impacts the behavior of this mutant, but it concerns us because it could make it not just more efficient to spread, but also more likely to evade our antibody response.
Wow.
Hey, Doc, so Dr. Fauci describes our current state as a race between the vaccines and the variants. Let's take a quick look.
Well, I think the best way for people to understand it, George, is that it really is somewhat of a race between the vaccine and the now essentially evolving more and more of these variants that we're seeing that have a greater capability of transmitting from person to person and likely even making it more serious disease.
So, Doc, my question for you is, are you concerned about another surge? We just talked about the baseball game in Texas, at full capacity, with the vaccine still rolling out. Is it safe or not safe?
So you know what I'm picturing, Jeff? I'm picturing you running away from a giant coronavirus cartoon, which is the variant, running towards the vaccine. And that's essentially what we're all doing. We're all trying to get to the vaccine before the virus catches us. And the vaccine has really helped the older people get there, but the younger people who are still unvaccinated are obviously spreading some of these variants, which is concerning. But another thing that the vaccine has done, which has been really interesting, is in a way it's blindfolded us. So we're not really able to see what our opponent is doing as well. Because remember, when you get vaccinated, you're a lot less likely to end up in the hospital. In fact, 100% less likely. You're a lot less likely to be symptomatic. So we may not even know if this surge is coming because it won't reflect in our hospitalizations or in our cases necessarily.
Wow. All right. Well, Doc, let's do this. The CDC has just revised its guidelines and is calling for an end to something called hygiene theater. Can you explain to me and our viewers what that is and why they want to end it?
Yeah, so let's talk about this because I actually am in disagreement with this term hygiene theater. But essentially what hygiene theater is the practice of, sanitizing all of our surfaces. And some people are saying, based on the new CDC guidelines, that it's not necessary. Because what the CDC is telling us is that there's less than a 1 in 10,000 chance that you'll catch an infection from a surface. But I really don't like this term because I think it's degrading a practice that's really going to help with influenza, help with rhinovirus, help with norovirus, all the other viruses out there. So even if it's not such a big player in COVID, I really want to see this practice continue. So Al, I expect you to wipe down your desk after you're done today.
I promise. You got my word. I like it. I like stuff being clean.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pyle. We love you. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
It's been widely reported that the Minneapolis Police Union is paying for Derek Chauvin's defense. The prosecution even brought it up in court.
The Police Federation, the union, is funding the defendant's defense.
But that's not exactly true. So let's verify.
Is the Minneapolis Police Union funding Chauvin's defense? Our sources, the Minneapolis Police Union and the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association. In a text, the president of the police union, known as the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis, tells me they are not paying for Chauvin's defense. The head of the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association tells me they're the ones footing the bill.
So what's the difference? Well, the MPPOA is a larger association that police unions all over Minnesota pay to be part of. The Minneapolis Police Union is a member. And since Derek Chauvin was on the force when the incident happened, he was a member too. Now, one of the benefits of that membership is a legal defense fund to represent officers if criminal charges come up after a critical incident.
Even though Chauvin was fired after George Floyd's death, the MPPOA's bylaws say he's entitled to that defense, since he was acting in the scope of his duties as a police officer. I spoke with Brian Peters, the head of the MPPOA. He tells me we can't pick and choose which cases we're going to defend or not defend. Eric Nelson, Chauvin's attorney, is one of the lawyers the MPPOA works with. How much it'll cost them, Peters doesn't know. They haven't gotten any bills, though he says their prior cases have run between $375,000 and $500,000. He says people are calling to donate, but they're not taking that money, though other organizations are helping Chauvin with other expenses.
So we can verify, no, the Minneapolis Police Union is not funding Derek Chauvin's defense. It's the larger Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association paying those legal fees. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and of course, be part of our DBL Nation. But if you're sticking around, here is what's coming up. A synchronized swimmer's inspiring story of success, how she showed the haters what she's really made of in our series, Strong Women Inside and Out. You do not want to miss this. Plus, British TV host Piers Morgan is at it again, coming for Meghan Markle, why he's not backing down even after losing his job. And of course, a big thank you to our co-workers who are watching from home right now as they work so diligently for us. DBL is new every day. We'll be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Al. Tori joins us from home. I was just commenting on Jeff's new suit jacket. You look very good.
Well, thank you,
Dapper.
Johnson and Murphy. And well, let me show you a little trick. See this? I don't have a pocket square. That's just the inside of my pocket.
Wait,
oh, that's smart.
Isn't it awesome?
Could have fooled
me. It came like that. I didn't even know.
But that's why it's a little wrinkly. You need to shape it.
Well, no, that would just be a.
Listen, you ruined the trick.
Sorry.
You just pulled the curtain
What are you,
back.
a magician?
Kinda. Look at this.
Okay.
Now Bert's all mad because it's not.
Yeah.
There you go.
You do look dapper. You do look dapper.
All right.
All right.
And Al's got on.
Al's got on giraffe socks.
Which we'll show you later.
Yeah, we will. Stay tuned for the giraffe socks.
I dig them.
Okay, let's get right to it, shall we? So Khloe Kardashian wants an unfiltered photo of her removed from the internet. Khloe is upset that this photo of her in a bikini by a pool was posted online and then began circulating all over. According to Page 6, the photo was taken over the weekend and was posted without her permission. So here's a look at that photo, okay? Next to one that Khloe posted on her Instagram. The Kardashians are reportedly threatening legal action to have the pic removed from websites. Now, in the past, Khloe has been accused of posting heavily edited and photoshopped pictures of her face and body on social media. Some people have even accused her of having work done because she looks so different. Tori, what do you make of this?
I mean, We all know Khloe Kardashian is filtered and has had a lot of work done. I don't even recognize Khloe Kardashian anymore. Every time I see an Instagram, I think it's Kendall Jenner. I mean, her face is transformed, but that's her business, you know, like that's okay. And I think when you're that famous, I don't know how you guys feel, but your image is almost so important. It can change a brand in like a middle of a tweet. I feel like she should have some control over her image, but I do understand that she also doesn't really have a right to ask some private person to take down the photo. But I get where she's coming from, and that comes from someone with insecurity about body issues.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No. I was just going to say, I mean, we focus on the Kardashians, and a lot of people put their anger towards the Kardashians. It's not like every single person on Instagram isn't filtering themselves, right? Everybody's doing this. She should have rolled with the punches on this one, in my opinion. To each their own.
Embraced it.
Yeah, I think exactly. To each their own. That is their image. That is how they make their money. But if she just were to roll with the punches, be like, that's what I look like. This is me, natural. Of course, I filter my photos just like all of you guys out there. It would have came off a little better. Now that she's wanting to sue everybody, now she's getting the criticism. But I don't blame her for filtering the photos.
It's their business. It's literally their business. And I feel like, Jeff, I understand what you're saying. That's what you have to juggle in your head. Do we just kind of roll with this and let it go? Or do we fight it? Because if she decides to roll with it and then she posts a picture that looks like the other one, the one that had obviously been touched up, if now they're memes with the side by side and they're like, which one's really you? And now this is the thing that happens with all her pictures. It's affecting her brand and her business. So I think anybody.
I hate that it affects the brand, though. I'm with Jeff. I wish she would have embraced it because there's so many. Listen, we're all guilty of it. So I'm with you. I just know that there's so many young individuals that look to the Kardashians, look to all the different people on Instagram. And even though they understand and they know that filters are in play, it does affect your mental state and how you view your body. It's so unrealistic. It's so so there's a whole nother discussion that we could get into on this one, but it's her brand. I just wish that we were in a different place where a brand didn't equate to perfect body. And that's just unfortunate. It's totally unrealistic. Nobody has the perfect body. Everybody has stretch marks. Everybody has cellulite. Apparently, Al does not. Okay, I'll give you some of mine.
There's perfection right there.
No, I was saying that when you said perfect body. That was.
I know. You raised your hand that you have a perfect body.
I do.
You do. Okay, so Piers Morgan is tripling down on his war against Meghan Markle and cancel culture. He recently spoke to Tucker Carlson in his first TV interview since leaving his job at Good Morning Britain. He said he should have the right to question whether Meghan Markle was telling the truth in her interview with Oprah last month without being branded a racist. Take a look.
I was under attack from Miss Markle, both directly to my boss and to the government regulatory body, under attack to basically conform to her version of events. And I had to believe her. And if I didn't, I was a callous racist and I should be condemned and ultimately, as it turned out later that day, lose my job. I should be allowed, in a democracy that values freedom of speech, I should be allowed to say, I'm sorry, I don't believe you.
What do you make of this, Al?
From what I remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, this wasn't so much about Meghan Markle. This was about his comments about suicide and the fact that the channel that he worked for had a huge campaign going because they had lost an anchor to suicide. So I feel like suicide is not Tucker Carlson's lane. His lane is cancel culture, free speech. I should be able to say whatever I want. So I feel like, again, and Jeff, I've talked to you before about this. I never let anybody set the narrative for what I'm going to discuss. And they're trying to set the narrative like this is about Meghan Markle. He got fired, as far as I know, for his comments on suicide and because it went against the entire network's stance because they had lost an anchor to suicide. So this seems like the garnish on the steak dinner.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. And it's a network's choice. They could do whatever they want. It goes back to the network again. I don't mean to keep bringing up Paul Piers, but it goes back to the network, right? You're working for a network. Piers was working for a network. I'm not pulling a Sharon Osbourne here, but I agree with Piers in the sense that you could say whatever you want. You do have to deal with those consequences, but you should be allowed to say whatever you want. We live in a society now where people automatically put labels on you to silence you. I believe this. Well, that's because you're homophobic. I believe this. That's because you're racist. Well, I think this. That's because you're sexist. All those labels are meant to shut you down and not speak. You agree with my side 100%, or I'm going to put a label on you and silence you. I don't like the silencing. I don't like what Piers said necessarily, but he should have the right to say it.
Tori?
I don't always, first off, I was going to say the same thing. He has a right to say it. He just has to deal with the consequences. But when Jeff says, you put a label on me and you shut me up and you silence me, sometimes I feel like those labels actually are holding someone accountable. And sometimes I feel like we've gotten too close to being like, it's cancel culture, don't do this, you're shutting me up. Sometimes it's just like, yo, you've crossed a line that makes me uncomfortable, and that's a boundary I'm not willing to just let go anymore. So I feel like it's in between. Piers Morgan obviously went way overboard, and he saw those consequences, but not a label isn't always somebody to shut you down. Sometimes it's to educate you.
No, it's not. Here, I'm going to push back, Tori, in this sense. We just throw around these words like white supremacists. If you say something little off-colored, you're labeled a white supremacist as opposed to Hitler and what a white supremacist really is. You can't just throw these words around and everyone just jump on board and think it's okay. You're making it okay. I'm saying that's part of the problem.
And I hear you, but I don't think everyone's throwing around white supremacy as much as you're hearing.
I think they are. Male toxicity,
defensive.
racist, homophobic, all these words, when you compare them to what those words really mean, we're throwing them around way too often.
And I think they're finally being allowed to see the light of the day. And I hear what you're saying, but I think both can be true.
I don't.
And I would just say, final thought on that. I think that both parties, Jeff, you're saying these labels are being thrown around. Tori, you're saying that they're being thrown around the appropriate amount of time. Don't forget that the public ultimately decides. If somebody called Sam Shocker a white supremacist, there would be no. But Sam, my point is, there would be no traction for that.
Great.
There wouldn't be hundreds of thousands of people retweeting that because it's not true.
Exactly.
So when things are true, they will get traction. When they are not, they will not, and they will just go away. The public does decide ultimately.
Okay. All right. Let's get to this next story. Aaron Rodgers made his hosting debut on Jeopardy last night and ended up getting trolled by a contestant. Have a look.
Scott, did you come up with the correct response? Who wanted to kick that field goal? That is a great question. Should be correct, but unfortunately for this game today, that's incorrect.
The contestant was poking fun at the Green Bay Packers' decision not to go for a touchdown, instead kick a field goal during their NFC Championship game against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, but let's get back to Aaron Rodgers as Jeopardy host. I felt like he needed like a Red Bull. And maybe that's because I naturally have a lot of energy, and I usually have to suppress my energy. I usually have to like take a few breaths before I speak because I'm go, go, go. But homeboy was like a sloth.
Boring.
But listen, I'm going to defend him in this. I didn't know Aaron Rodgers even had this in him.
He's so smart.
And he won Celebrity Jeopardy as a contestant. I didn't know he had this in him. Like just watching football all those years, I know him from as a quarterback, right? I didn't know he had this kind of demeanor. But like Alex Trebek said, it's not about him. It's about the contestants.
But he made it about him because I was so listening to his slow, chill delivery that I didn't think about anything but his slow, chill delivery.
And I thought in that moment, the way he answered that and responded to that contestant was great. You know, I didn't know he had that in him. He laughed, he chuckled it off, he made a joke. I thought he did a good job.
And can I just say this? And Lord knows I don't want to ever do this. If we rolled back to season 1, episode 1, 2, or 3 of DBL, it would be a much different show. He is coming from a different world.
What?
Yeah.
Tori was fantastic.
Yeah, it takes a while to get, as they call, your sea legs.
Yes.
And he's a person that loves Jeopardy. He really is a savant. Like, I think he is on almost a genius level. And I think he's got some cachet. Give him a chance.
Yeah, okay. I'll give him a chance.
Okay, hold on. Really quick, I just want to bring up that a lot of fans have asked for LeVar Burton, who is the host of Reading Rainbow, to host it. And there's a petition out. And a lot of people say he has a little more charisma, as Sam was saying, and he'd be a really great host. So take a look at that petition if you're interested.
I dig it. I really do. Thank you, Tori. So there are rumors that Chris Hemsworth and Russell Crowe might be teaming up for Gladiator 2. The actors were spotted hanging out in Sydney last month with Chris's wife. So according to the Australian website New Idea, the pair are in talks to co-produce the sequel with Chris starring as Russell's son. Meanwhile, Chris recently told The Telegraph that he is not taken seriously in Hollywood because of his buff physique. Chris posts his workout videos on Instagram and has to stay in shape for his role as Thor in the Avengers movies. He said he would only be regarded as, quote, a serious actor if he put on a bunch of unhealthy weight or got really skinny for a role. He's right, unfortunately. People know you don't agree.
I'm trying to think. Are there any super buff actors that are kind of that play serious roles?
No.
Well, be appreciative of what you have instead of what you don't have. Okay, he's worth $100 million, $130 million for playing this role. So I wouldn't just snuff my nose, whatever the word is. I can't even think.
Your nose.
What do you do at it?
Don't ask me.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
snub your nose.
Snub my nose.
Snub your nose.
I had fluff.
Anyways, I want to go back to the Gladiator. That's my favorite movie in the whole world, the Gladiator. So I'm glad this is coming back, but I'm a little confused because his son got killed in the first one. But I would love to see a Gladiator 2. Back to snuffing my nose. You know, if he was skinny, he'd say, I can't get the buff roles. I can't be a superhero. So everyone's always complaining. I want to hear, you know what, I'm super happy for what I have in life. And if you really want it, let that rope go, let yourself go, and try to go be a good actor. But now you're taking the risk of not getting those roles.
Or you just keep showing up as a buff actor, going after those roles, and eventually, if you're good enough, you will get it.
I just remembered. You asked a question earlier. I'm sorry, and I'll answer it after you finish.
No, I'm done now.
Sorry, a light bulb literally just went off on my head.
I felt it.
So remember, you remember the wrestler?
Yes.
Okay, remember Mickey Rourke? Buff.
Yeah.
Nominated for an actor that year.
But he was playing an aging wrestler.
An Oscar that year. So what? You said that there was no buff actors that ever were taken seriously. I just gave you
I didn't
one.
say that there are no retired wrestling actors, which is what he played. I'm talking about somebody that is jacked with an 8-pack like that guy is. You don't see those roles in like...
You're backpedaling.
No, I'm saying you don't see guys like that in independent films about a love story.
You said, are there any buff actors that were taken seriously? I just gave you one.
He's formerly buff. He was not buff in that movie. Stop.
Why are you shaking your head?
Oh, because someone said something in my ear and I was just agreeing with them off camera.
Oh, I thought you were agreeing with me.
Oh, I was, totally.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was.
Someone said Hugh Jackman. That's what they said in my ear and I shook my head.
Oh, yeah.
But he's a small guy, though.
How about Mark
What's
Wahlberg?
the Christian Bale one?
Mark Wahlberg.
And the Christian Bale one.
Christian Bale was more
We're talking
ripped.
about big guys like The Rock.
Yeah, he was more ripped, not buff.
Matthew McConaughey was buff, and then he lost that one.
Zac Efron is
and then
ripped.
he won an Oscar in Dallas Buyers Club.
When was Matthew McConaughey buff?
I don't think...
What? He's always buff.
I don't think Chris Hemsworth's a good actor.
Chris Hemsworth are not in the same league.
There's a difference between being like built and then buff.
That's a good point.
Yes.
I don't know you had to change your voice.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got it.
I'm so done. Someone else read the rest of the prompter.
Coming up on DBL, a synchronized swimmer tells us about overcoming hardship and bullying and why you should never be afraid to make waves. Next in our series, Strong Women, Inside and Out. And check out our co-workers from home. There they are, looking good, kids. You guys keep smiling. You guys are going to be back in the studio sooner than you know. We'll be right back.
This so-called double mutant variant was first discovered in India. As you can guess, this variant contains 2 mutations to the coronavirus. The mutations have been seen before in different variants. One is similar to a so-called California variant. The other was found in variants discovered in Brazil and South Africa. The first case of this double mutant in the U.S. was diagnosed in a patient in the San Francisco area. So what does this mean? Experts are concerned that these mutations make the variant more contagious. That's because both help the virus latch onto cells. India first revealed its existence in March, and now cases are surging in the country. In one hard-hit Indian state, political leaders claim the new variant is not necessarily to blame, instead pointing fingers at large gatherings. More research is needed on this double mutant variant, but experts are hopeful the current vaccines will be effective against it. Despite the lack of hard data, they point to the fact that the vaccines work on these same mutations seen individually in other variants. But the emergence of these new variants of concern reinforces to health officials that widespread vaccinations are needed to stop the creation of new mutations.
Welcome back to DBL. Moving far away from your hometown can make anyone feel like a fish out of water. But today, our featured strong woman shows us that even when you're the outsider, it's okay to make some waves. Check it out.
My name is Christina Marcuschenko, and originally I'm from Moscow. I did artistic swimming for a little bit over 13 years, and I achieved the level of 4-time world champion and 2 times European champion in synchronized swimming. So I'm an artist, and I always had that ever since I was a baby. So I think that's why synchronized swimming matched me so well. I feel like I own this pool. I want to show up, and it's like, it's like a show underwater. During my sport career, I went through a lot of hard things. At the age 11, that's when I started getting better in synchronized swimming. And that's when I, for the first time, started feeling a little bit being bullied. When I was bullied, I never understood what I was doing wrong. And am I the bad one or they're the bad ones? And then my family had to move to Miami, and obviously I had to move with them. I felt here that I was a little bit like a stranger, Everyone would ask me, I have an accent where I'm from. So I really try to not listen what other people tell me or what they will think. I try to do what I really think so and what I think is right. After the pandemic started, obviously, everything shut down. And I started doing videos just for fun, just for myself, because TikTok was trending at that time. And honestly, it was just a usual day. I just posted on my TikTok in the evening, I remember. And then in 30 minutes, I got my first million views. I was like, what? I memorized the beats a couple times before I go underwater and just played in my head. I'm trying to make a real art, which I think people will love it. The sport itself really helped me to grow as a person. I'm thankful for who I am. And I really don't care right now what people will tell me, if I will do those silly dances. Sometimes I get the, comments, why do I do that? I do what I want. I do what I love. My advice will be, don't really do what people tell you. Do what you think is right.
Wow, how incredible is she? We'll be right back.
We all...
Verify exists to bring you the facts about the misinformation that's spreading on social media. A viewer sent us this Facebook post, which makes a couple claims about phone scams. Like this: if you press *#90 or #09* while on the phone with another caller, they can, quote, access your SIM card, make calls at your expense, and frame you as a criminal. Sounds pretty out there, so let's verify if there's any truth to this. Our sources are the FCC and Kane McGladrey, a member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And they say that there's a grain of truth here, but that's all. The FCC has this warning on their website, that if someone calls your office phone and you dial these numbers, they could, quote, place calls that are billed to your office telephone number. That just means that they could transfer the call. But McGladrey told us that this only goes for office phones. Quote, this doesn't affect cell phones or residential landlines. So while it's true that this could make calls at your expense, the claim that they can access your SIM card is false. And as for the claim that they could frame you as a criminal, not so much. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. We are helping you save money on insurance. Did you know a few simple lifestyle changes can influence your premium? We're chatting about it in today's Bang for Your Buck, presented by The Hartford. First, exercising can make a big difference. Just a few pounds can lower your premium. Second, quit smoking. That will save you big bucks and have a huge impact in the eyes of an insurance underwriter. Lastly, improving your driving record can also save you cash. Once you've made a few changes, check back with an insurer for the best quote possible. We've made it easy when it comes to quality and affordable insurance. The Bucks got your back. The Hartford will be happy to provide you solutions. So call the Hartford at 1-800-684-6085 or visit thehartford.com to learn more. Makes sense.
Yeah, they say not moving and not exercising is the new smoking. They say that's even worse.
Who says that?
That's just around.
Doctors
just floating around?
It's
Honestly,
real.
Being
It's real,
sedentary.
yeah.
That's why I like the QB and certain things are so good to just keep your legs moving, keep your body going. I know a lot of people. I know my agent. He just has
my gosh.
He has a desk and he's got a treadmill on it. He just walks like really slowly and he does his work. Just got to keep moving.
How Hollywood is he?
I know.
You guys don't have agents? Thank you.
My publicist has brown hair.
Yeah, my manager called.
What do you say? Stop attacking Al?
No.
Be nicer to Al?
He said Hollywood called. They don't want you back.
I think
Wow.
they did.
She's going to get a stone today,
Sam
buddy.
has really been coming at me today. We're going to have a meeting right after the show.
Oh.
Right in that empty conference room. Me and you.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
It's been widely reported that the Minneapolis Police Union is paying for Derek Chauvin's defense. The prosecution even brought it up in court.
The police federation, the union, is funding the defendant's defense.
But that's not exactly true. So let's verify.
Is the Minneapolis Police Union funding Chauvin's defense? Our sources, the Minneapolis Police Union and the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association. In a text, the president of the police union, known as the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis, tells me they are not paying for Chauvin's defense. The head of the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association tells me they're the ones footing the bill.
So what's the difference? Well, the MPPOA is a larger association that police unions all over Minnesota pay to be part of. The Minneapolis Police Union is a member. And since Derek Chauvin was on the force when the incident happened, he was a member too. Now, one of the benefits of that membership is a legal defense fund to represent officers if criminal charges come up after a critical incident.
Even though Chauvin was fired after George Floyd's death, the MPPOA's bylaws say he's entitled to that defense, since he was acting in the scope of his duties as a police officer. I spoke with Brian Peters, the head of the MPPOA. He tells me we can't pick and choose which cases we're going to defend or not defend. Eric Nelson, Chauvin's attorney, is one of the lawyers the MPPOA works with. How much it'll cost them, Peters doesn't know. They haven't gotten any bills, though he says their prior cases have run between $375,000 and $500,000. He says people are calling to donate, but they're not taking that money, though other organizations are helping Chauvin with other expenses.
So we can verify, no, the Minneapolis Police Union is not funding Derek Chauvin's defense. It's the larger Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association paying those legal fees. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
On DBL, everyone's favorite shark businessman and reality star Kevin O'Leary is joining us live and helping you make money. And in an all-new True Crime Chronicles, the bone-chilling podcast that reveals the murders hiding in plain sight. That's tomorrow right here on DBL.
You do not want to miss it. We're getting a lot of comments about you being the moderator. People love it. Okay, so we got sensitivity training saying, Sam, I hate to say this, but Al just proved you can be replaced. Hey, I'm Al's biggest fan. I say that you host the show one day.
Trending one day.
Okay.
I don't trust the serious stories.
Let's do it.
One day we'll do it.
Can we,
soon.
our executive producers, okay, so they're giving us the go-ahead. Al, we already saw, knocked it out of the park. He'll put his own stamp on it.
Watch out, Sam. I might be like Tom Brady. You bring me in for one play, the next thing you know, 10 rings.
We can take the risk. A quick goodbye to our co-workers who tuned in. We'll see you guys later. So DBL is new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.
Thank you.